Evening, everyone. Calling to order the Planning and Zoning Committee meeting on April 17th, 2024. The time now is 7:02 p.m. I'm Darian Martin, your chair for the evening. If we can all rise for silent meditation and pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much. You may all be seated. Madam Clerk, can I have the roll call?
Roll call. Chair Martin.
Present.
Vice Chair Perella. Member Urban.
Present.
Member Nickerson.
Here.
Member Lightfoot Ward. Also present for the record, Christia Liu, Village Manager, Joseph Geller, Village Attorney, Janice Jacoby, Village Clerk. You have a quorum.
Thank you so much, Madam Clerk. We'll move on to subsection D, approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Madam Chair, if I may,
Sure.
I wanted to adjust the agenda slightly. I wanted to put G2, which is the launch, I wanted to put that at the end so that all of our residents who came for their properties, they don't have to wait for us to go through that discussion. We can get the resident properties out of the way first.
That makes a tremendous amount of sense. Do I have a second for that motion?
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Awesome, so let it reflect that item G2 has now been moved down and will take the G7 position, I'm assuming. Let's move on to subsection E, approval of minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the February 6th, 2024 Planning and Zoning Committee meeting? Do I have a second?
Second, Madam Chair.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. All right, moving on to subsection F. We don't have any visitors or special presentations this evening, so let's head right into the agenda. We have a lengthy agenda tonight, so I'll try to get you through as quickly
Madam
as I can.
Chair,
Yes, go ahead.
Madam Chair, just got some last minute information.
Sure.
The individuals that were going to do the launch, they wanted to defer it until the next planning and zoning meeting. They couldn't make it here tonight. So we just got told by the
G2.
Corradino group for that. So if we could, I guess, scratch
Sure.
G7, just get rid of G7 for
Okay.
tonight then.
Awesome. So let the record reflect that we initially moved item G2 to position G7. That's 8300 Northeast 4th Place, site plan for the launch. We're actually going to defer that to the next Planning and Zoning Committee meeting. Do we know when that will be, Madam Clerk?
Madam Clerk.
Is it
next planning-
sufficient for us to just say the next Planning and Zoning meeting, or do we have a date?
Not as of yet, but I'm assuming it's going to be May, June.
Okay.
Most
Okay.
stuff. Yeah, we'll have to get back to a date.
Okay, so we will
When I
defer the new item G7 to the next Planning and Zoning Committee meeting, whenever that may be. Let's head right into the agenda with item G1. That's 205 Northeast 86th Street. Can I have the applicant step up to the podium on the right? And can I also have our staff step up to the podium on left? My left. All right, I'll ask the applicant to state your name and address for the record, please.
Hi.
1 second, hold on 1 second. For the attorney, do we need to be sworn in, Madam Clerk? Okay, great.
Okay, what is this?
Thank you so much. Perfect. Yes, if you could go ahead and state your name and address for the record, both of you, please.
It's Ricardo Lima, 205 Northeast 86th Street.
Thomas Pulliam, 205 Northeast 86th Street.
Thank you so much. And can I have staff report on this item, please?
Yes. Hello? Yes. This is an application from Tom Pullum here this evening. He is requesting a variance for a new 4-foot-high wall and a fence combination that would be in the principal setback at the property located at 205 Northeast 86th Street. The request is to locate this new wall and fence along the front property line and then along the side property lines to enclose the front yard. The primary justification is that the wall and fence are needed as a visual buffer to screen the home from nuisance activities occurring on this property that the applicant has listed several incidents in his letter of request, and that's included in your package. The code does not allow fences in the front setback unless they're limited to 4 feet in height and made of coral rock and is approved through the variance process. The applicant proposed that the wall be made of coral rock and the fence will be a continuation of the wood that currently exists as a side yard fence. The intent is, again, to fully enclose this front yard area. The granting of the variance approval is in harmony with the general intent and purpose of the comprehensive plan, and as proposed, the development is compatible with the existing residential character within the village of El Portal. And the requirements for the variance were satisfied by the applicant, and the granting of the variance is presented in harmony with the general intent and purpose of the code. And therefore, approval is recommended with a condition that the privacy hedge screen shall be maintained to be I'm sorry, I don't have that condition. There's no condition. That concludes my report.
Thank you so much. I think how I'm going to do it is to open it up for comment for members of the council. Then after that, I'll open it up to the public. So does anyone on the council have a comments about this item? Okay, Councilwoman Lightfoot Ward, and then after that, Councilman Urban.
Until we fix that. Is it appropriate for me to ask how long you've been in the property? Attorney? It's okay to ask how long?
I'm willing to tell you.
I don't see
Two.
a reason it's
Not.
legally objectionable.
Okay.
It's not saying they can be compelled, but you can answer.
That's my question, that's the first question. How long you been in the property?
December 2021, so less than 2.5 years.
Did you have a problem when you moved in?
Well, we've had multiple incidences starting, I believe, July 2023. Or, sorry, when we first moved in, yes, we had homeless people from 2nd Avenue coming soliciting at our front door.
This is the one that you told us way back then, right? The
Correct,
same-
yeah.
Same situation.
Mhm.
And now the nuisance is they're using your yard as a pathway to the next street? Am I getting this?
No, so we've had off-leash dogs come to our property multiple times, kill animals. A cat bit my finger. There's been people coming in looking to steal items as well. And our property, our lot, the backyard is only 7 feet. All of our yard is really in the front. So we have a unique property here in Sherwood Forest where we can really only enjoy and use our front yard for an outdoor space.
Okay, my question are very real. Okay, when I first moved in, I lived on the corner. Had people walking all over my doggone yard, but they stopped doing it once I, was just genteel about it, I guess. I'm asking the questions more so, it's becoming a nuisance. It's called trespassing in your view, and it doesn't seem that they respect the fact that it is private property.
And I have signs posted as well, so those are ignored.
And you think the remedy will be, what's your height that you're looking for?
Exactly what is allowed by ordinance. So a variance for 4 foot, I'm gonna do a coral wall.
You're gonna quarter wall?
Coral wall, yeah, which is
A
what's allowed by
coral.
variance, yeah.
Okay. a
So that's why
coral
we're here
wall,
requesting it.
Okay. Otherwise, you see this continuing to happen.
Yes, very much so. Mhm.
But you're friends with your neighbors.
No, we are not. We've actually needed to have a restraining order. She's actually here tonight, sitting as close to us as possible. Don Wellman, our neighbor on the west side of our property.
We can't scream out. We can't scream out, but there will be a time for public comment, and you can step up to the podium and say your name and address and say what you would like. But go ahead, Mr. Pulliam.
Yeah, and the neighbor on the other side has had multiple light trespassing through our windows and onto our property all night. But that's not necessarily relevant to just closing in the front section of the property behind the swale at the property line.
And how high you want that?
4 feet. Yeah,
Okay, where's 4 feet on your hip?
I don't know, approximately here. I I'm 6 feet tall.
I'm just thinking about the 4 feet. I'm 5 feet, 5 and a half, so you know why I would say that. Madam Chair, that's all I have.
Thank you so much. Councilmember Erbaum.
Good evening. So I guess my first question is, so the reason for the variance is twofold, is that right? One is that there's going to be a 4-foot fence, essentially not splitting a property line, but actually crossing, like going across the face of the property. Is that one reason for the variance? And the other being the 25-foot setback, is that right?
Correct. The wooden fence, which would run along each side, that would encroach into the 25 feet. You're not permitted right now to have any fences in the front yard, so that would be one side of the variance, and the other is that the fact that the 4-foot coral rock wall goes through the variance process in order to be approved by you.
Okay, so then in terms of final design, this is, we keep using the phrase fully enclosed front yard, so we're talking about fence coming along the property line on each side, and then crossing the front and joining in the middle and creating an entire boundary, right?
Yes, correct.
So the fence that would run along the property line really isn't an issue other than the materials. We want to make sure the materials are within the code, correct?
Right. The only type of fence that would be allowed within the front, any part of the front yard would be the coral rock, and there's a couple other materials, but I just mentioned coral rock because that's what he proposes. So there, but
But it certainly fits within the,
but not wooden fences. That wouldn't be permitted.
okay. So then at what point is the wooden fence beginning and ending here?
I might need to defer to that.
Yeah, that's fine, yeah, okay.
I think it's around.
Is the first front setback so that, how big is the first, 15 feet, 20 feet? 25 feet would be 4 foot wood, and
okay.
then I already have on
And
both
then-
sides 6 foot wood, which is the limit.
Back at where the house begins
Yes,
essentially.
so
yeah.
it would just, the 4 foot wood would connect directly to the 6 foot.
So the wood would go up to the 25-foot setback line.
At 4 feet, yeah.
And then coral would extend beyond that to
The front facade.
and
On the
then the
front
coral
facade.
would cross in the front.
Mhm.
So my question is, so is it a hardship that we're talking about in terms of the variance here? What is the exact reason for approval of this variance that otherwise would not be allowed anywhere within the village?
What I understand is the activities that have been occurring historically that has been brought up to our attention. And in addition, the applicant doesn't have much of a backyard, so that makes it a unique property for enjoying his, the little yard that he has that he's not able to enjoy it fully because of the
Understood, okay.
instances.
All right, then my final comment, and I'll relinquish the microphone. So I've had my car gone through in front of my house. I do feel like that was my fault. I did leave it unlocked, but that does tell you that there's people popping locks, right? Trying door handles, right? I have neighbors across the street. Just the other day even got porch pirated, as well as similar footage to this in terms of usually a single male on a bicycle, generally speaking, with a backpack, is usually the MO of people who are coming through the neighborhood transiently, looking for opportunities, right? So if we are to grant this variance under this condition for that reason specifically, then we are going to end up with a village of walled-in properties. They'll be very nice, beautiful properties once you get inside, I'm sure, but we are going to have a village completely full of walls. We already have a backlog of 7-foot walls to the property line, hedges too tall. We have a backlog of trying to already maintain what exists. In fact, in one of these photos across the street, I see a 6-foot hedge that runs.
Yeah, that's why we're going through this
I saw
proper
that.
variance process.
I did the Google Streets and went down the street and then also walked it. And I remember seeing that also from looking at those photos as well. So, I mean, I don't take issue with the coral wall extending all the way up. I don't take issue with the wooden fence being extended, you know, to mesh with the back fence. It's that crossing the front of the property that for me is a precedent that I don't know that I'm willing to make tonight.
Just to, what do you mean crossing from the property? Because we have 10 feet of
Enclo-
swale
en-
that people can.
Enclosing the
across.
property. So there, you'll go around the neighborhood and you'll see there's a few properties that have metal fence, right, with an automatic gate even for entrance into the drive, right? And those are all not allowed. As soon as they start to repair or make any change or alteration to any of those setups, they're going to have to revert to the current code. Right before the pandemic, we had a huge effort, town halls, multiple surveys to establish specifically what we're trying to accomplish in the village when it comes to are we going to allow 0 lots? Are we going to allow 6-foot fences? Are we going to so this has been hashed out years ago to a very specific degree, and so enclosing the property is the part that I feel like we went through blood, sweat, and tears to come to a conclusion that is not what we're trying to have within the village, and so for me, I feel like we have not potentially exhausted all possibilities and what might be done in terms of mitigation. And there's things within the design that I'm certainly willing to allow without any issue. It's that enclosing the property where I have pause, that's all.
Thank you so much. Does anyone else from the council have a comment on this item? All right, Councilwoman Lightfoot Ward.
I got you.
Shall I put that in the garbage? No. Yes. I hear you. Before I even start, I hear you. I'm more concerned about bringing in all these fence enclosures thinking that it's going to solve a problem. I can see the swell line looking at your photo. You did real good with that. For me, I'm having a problem. You know, the village is going to have sidewalks one day. It really is. The village is going to have sidewalks one day. I think about stuff like that. And what I'm hearing now is you've got nuisances. You did police reports and all that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So you've got nuisances on your property. You've engaged the people and asked them not to do that, and they've ignored you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're here today to fence it off. Why we have prohibited fencing things off is because we are a little village and it looks like a village. We're not trying to engage property so that folks feel like they are their own person on earth. That's not what we're trying to do. But if your neighbors are totally disrespectful and walking through your yard because it goes all the way to the back and over to the next street, is that what happens? Do you have a fence in the back?
Yes.
Okay, so they just decided one day
Yes, but it's not just neighbors, it's off-leash dogs. The same one who killed my cat and bit my finger also showed up the next year in my backyard. It's also, as you see in my letter of intent, by right of the setbacks, we have space to put a pool in the front of our house, which we plan to do. That also will require a safety barrier. Another reason why we're looking to enclose the front yard. The front facade, besides the 4-foot coral rock, is also going to have a pedestrian gate and a driveway gate. So it's not fully enclosed. People can't enter, exit. It is just closed to my private property. The remaining 10-foot swale in front is fine. When sidewalks go in, that's where a possible sidewalk would go. We have within our ordinances, you know, if you want to put a fence in the front, you can do coral. You have to do a variance process. That's why we're here tonight, to do everything legally and above board.
Okay. Is that the conclusion of your
No,
comment?
not really, but I think I'm following you now. I'm on the corner. The last thing on my mind is putting a gate around and people do come through my yard. They do. The dogs do try to do whatever. One man almost cussed me out because I said, we got a swell over there. Why you want to come and let your dog poop in my yard? He said, because it's ground. I'm not going to argue with him, but I know I don't want to pick up no poop. So he says, I got my stuff, and then he just got mad because I said what I said. I'm not sympathetic to you. I'm concerned that the whole village is going to gate in because of some few people that just want to be rude to the owners. That's the only thing in my head right now.
Yeah, well, I guess if that's the case, they could go through the same process and they could be up here talking about their specific issue,
That's true.
which is the process we have. So that's why we're here tonight with everything with our specific issue, requesting a variance so we can put a
Okay,
4-foot.
let me tell you what happened in the 31 years I've been here. Maybe they'll start throwing the trash over your fence. That's what happens. Maybe they'll just be rude to you. Because why? They can. But I'm just wondering, is this going to align with what we projected plans for?
I hear you, Councilwoman. For
Thank you so
sure.
much.
I definitely hear you. And I don't think that anyone else on the council has a comment, so I'm going to just echo what Councilman Erbaum just said. I'm concerned about what precedent this sets, because I do think that we made a clear statement that we do not want those front yards enclosed. And in my mind, when I think of a variance, I think, is this situation so unique that something has to be done, right? And I'm not seeing the uniqueness. I think that people routinely have incidents with their neighbors where they have them either, or maybe someone comes up to your door that you don't want to come up to your door, or a dog comes onto your property that you don't want to come onto your property. And if we set the precedent that this can make us dovetail or go around what we've initially stated as our intention for what we want the village to look like, then I do think that you will have a tremendous number of people coming to us and asking for variances because there are dogs on their property, or there are people that knock on their door, which is definitely a nuisance and something that I think, of course, is undesirable. I just don't know if it rises to that level of uniqueness for me that would trigger the approval of a variance on this item.
Respectfully, I'd like to remind you, my finger was bit, my cat was killed, and the dog returned after being labeled a dangerous dog.
No.
Also, besides just the intrusion, whatnot, the uniqueness of our property, we don't have space in the back. All of y'all, I don't know when this conversation has been that you guys are saying that it's been said that you don't want anything closed in the front. We've never heard that in the 2 years we've lived here. It was a staff recommendation was approval, and in our current ordinances, it allows for this.
No, I completely understand, and I'm sure that we would probably be able to get some sort of information to you as far as when that was stated, and I do understand why staff's approval in this situation gave you, I suppose, a false sense of security on that issue, because I too wonder why staff approved this portion of the item. But I do think that there was a clearly stated intention previously. I remember it, Councilman Erbaum remembers it, Councilman Lightfoot Ward, that we do not want the front of those yards enclosed. I understand that your property is unique, and I do believe that there was something, another property that was unique in that way, and I think the person wanted a pool. I think that's what we were talking about.
And y'all accepted that variance?
But
Yeah.
it was about recreation, not about the enclosure of the front of the property. Number two, I do have a question for Charlotte. Can he have this wall in the secondary setback? Like a wall of this height?
Yes.
Okay, so I think that's another alternative.
So with
Right.
that, I have to give up 20 feet in my front yard, which I don't have elsewhere.
So we all have to make really tough decisions.
But it's not in the ordinances.
No. The fact that you're here seeking a variance means that you're trying to do something other than what is prescribed by the code. Do we agree on that?
no, because the code says you can have a coral fence in the front if you go through the variance process. That's the language of the code.
Okay.
But it doesn't guarantee that
If you go
the
through the
variance
No,
will be
correct.
granted.
Correct.
So you're,
But it says if you,
Splitting the property line.
okay, another point. So this is the current variance process. And what we're telling you through this variance process is that there is one element, right, that goes completely counter to something that has been our stated intention. But there's a workaround. You can choose to do this in your secondary setback. And this is just me proffering a possible solution. I don't know how the vote is going to go today for you because it's not just my decision. Just giving you an insight on my thought process as to what triggers a variance for me. And the issues that I have in calling this an issue that is so unique that something needs to be done other than what has been the stated intention of the body. So that's my thought on it. And you're welcome to say something if you would like.
I would request and ask, have all the council people looked at my site map and familiar with the dimensions
I
of
definitely
my
have.
property?
Ms. Councilman Urban, have you looked at the, Councilman Lightfoot Ward?
I've seen this,
Okay. This is
No.
part of it, but there were also attachments in the actual,
The property survey and.
there was a lot of information. You did submit a very thorough application.
Right.
So I definitely reviewed all of your information.
Yeah, and to be honest, if we had even been aware that it's the policy or position of the council that you don't want the front enclosed, we wouldn't have spent $900 in months to get this meeting here today.
That's a valid.
And we were not told that.
No, that is a valid complaint on your end.
And in fact, I brought it up last time because I was asking you specifically, hey, I want hedges too.
Yeah.
So can I combine them, or do I need to do two separately and pay $900 for each?
Yeah.
I was told it needs to be handled separately. So I said, okay, we're just gonna go for the fence. And that's this meeting here today.
No, I completely understand. That's a valid concern and something we need to figure out as far as like what information you guys are getting on that front end, right? Because I have no desire in having you spend money unnecessarily for something. But however, I don't know how this is gonna go. I'm just telling you what my personal thought is. So the next step in this is for me to ask anyone else on the council if they have a comment, and then after that, if they do not, then I will open it up for residents to comment. When they do come up to comment, I would ask that you step from the podium so that they are able to access it. So I think the mayor has a comment.
Yeah, really quickly, Madam
Sure.
Chair, thank you. Yeah, this is one of those type of situations that I think is just really difficult, you all, because when you look at, there's not very many houses in El Portal that are set back this far. And so, since this house is set back that far, you think about them not having a yard, period. And therefore, you know, whatever people usually and normally do in the back of their home, they have that, you know, that peace of mind in the back of their home. Their peace of mind would have to be in the front of their home. So with that being said, and with staff recommendation being approval, I just think it's something that we really have to, you know, just kind of look at. Because if you were in a house that was set back this far, would you just, it's almost just having a house with no yard to enjoy any of the amenities, and especially if they're trying to put a pool in their front yard, there's no way that would be possible with that openness that's right there in the front. So it's just something to think about.
Thank you so much for that comment. Go ahead.
I do have a
Vice
comment
Mayor.
as well. Yeah, that was my first impression, actually, when the last time when we actually decided about the new resolution about no fencing and all of that. I remember you being here and asked that question, as a matter of fact, and Juan from Pluservia did, answer it, saying that you could always request a variance, and that was it. And that was your concern because you were gonna try to build a pool in front of the house and all of that. Now, when I thought about the 25 feet frontage, I thought exactly about being actually the second setback, which is then 45, not 25, right? So it will not encroach to the next neighbor's fencing or the the frontage of the house. That's pretty much the enclosement that I thought we were talking about, but it's further up. It's all the way to the property line, which is by the sidewalk. If there were a sidewalk over there, it would be right by the sidewalk.
It's actually
And it's-
behind the
The two
olive trees, and
olive-
there's 10 feet in front of there, which is the entirety of the public swale.
Right. Exactly. And so,
And there is sidewalk too on our street, 86th Street. It stops right in the
Right.
the
No, I
corner of the
understand.
first
I-
house, and if that was
No, I
to
know.
continue on, it would not, it would go.
interfere. No,
in
no,
our
I
swale.
understand, I understand. I'm just saying that 25 feet is
Yeah.
actually, if there were, if there was an existing sidewalk, it'll be behind it, right
Yes.
behind the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Not all the way by where the fence of the neighboring house is, on the side. Which it will still allow you to have your pool in the front yard, if
Yeah.
that was the case. Yeah, I mean, the property is unique, and most of those properties in the Sherwood Forest are, for some reason, are all setback,
Yeah. Our
all
house
the way
was
to
was
yes.
built in 1936, so 3 years before the
Yeah.
village as well. So
Right.
maybe that has to do with the
I-
uniqueness of the.
Not necessarily. Mine was built in 1925,
Okay.
and it's, I do have a lot of frontage, but I also have a lot of backyard. I do have, people walking to my door, which is over 45 feet off the sidewalk. I don't feel that's an intrusion or, none of that. So I think that's part of living in a metropolitan area, besides that, we're a little village, and maybe we're accustomed to have peace of mind, and,
We had a
few people
bicycle
were just.
stolen 2 weeks ago from our backyard.
Yeah, I
So
have a
it's not just
lawnmower
people
taken
knocking,
off.
it's
Yes. So you don't have
Pets
you don't have a
killed, items
side
stolen.
gates next to your
Um,
property, to the backyard?
We did, however,
Oh.
the previous owner had installed those, and those were not permitted. So in our renovation process
They took
that
it
we're
out.
undergoing, we have removed those.
Okay,
So no, there will be none.
okay. Okay.
Thank you.
That was my comment.
Okay,
So-
thank you, Vice Mayor. I think Councilwoman Lightfoot Ward has another comment, and then we'll open it up to our guests.
If the wall does not take the space of what we're projecting as sidewalks in the future, I wouldn't be opposed to this. But if it's gonna be right out there where someday a sidewalk's gonna be, that's gonna be a problem. That's all I'm thinking about right now. I feel you though. I lived in a house without a backyard once upon a time. I feel you. All you had was the front yard. I'm feeling that. But I'm not feeling, when we start doing sidewalks in this village, I wouldn't wanna hear somebody say, you gotta take that down. So if you got a way to make sure the sidewalk, which is the, what you call that? Which is the, what's it called? And it's not on my property, it's
The
on the
right
city
of way.
side. The right of way. It's not messing up the right of way, got my vote.
Great, so 2 comments on that. No, it's not gonna be in the right of way. We're even open to a stipulation if there's some measurement of where that sidewalk will be, to be sure that we're behind that. I feel like where we're putting it right now, doesn't have that issue, but we can add that as a stipulation to ensure that it doesn't. Furthermore, the construction of it, it's just coral placed on sand, so it's movable. If I need to move it in the future, it's not concreted to the ground, immovable, where it's just there forever. So, it's a 4 by 6 foot piece of coral that will be on the ground with the sand foundation, laid by a professional fence person who does that work.
Thank you so much. We're gonna open it up to our guests. But I do have a statement. I do think, I hope that when we buy houses, we do not do them blindfolded. So we know that with every property, there are pros and cons that exist when you purchase the property. And yard size is one of those things. And our needs change, but doesn't necessarily mean that our codes need to change. That might be that house no longer suits you or fits your needs. But I don't think that it is or should be a driving force on what we decide we want our village to look like. And we always have to be careful with every decision that we make about the precedent that it sets. So if, whatever we vote tonight, I want us to know that there will be tons of people following behind the applicant to get a similar variance, and no way to really stand behind not approving those as well. So with that being said, I will go ahead and open it
I
up.
do have, if
Sure,
I may,
go ahead.
just one comment response to that. So again, we purchased this property December 2021.
Uh-huh.
I was aware, I downloaded the PDF design book from the village. We looked at all the ordinances. We saw what setbacks are allowed, what's allowed by ordinance. All of that informed our decision. Hey, we can compromise without having a big backyard, because look at all this space we have in the front. Oh, the first 10 feet is actually swale, so we keep that public, right?
Mhm.
But the rest of it, that's our private property.
And the secondary setback is not an option for you, putting that enclosure in the secondary
Correct,
setback.
because of the location of the pool, it would infringe where the pool is located.
But you don't have a pool currently. This is your future
No, but I
plans for
have
installing a pool.
a right within the setbacks.
Mhm.
I have a right to put a pool without process of variance.
No, that's completely correct. I'm just asking if the pool is currently there or just one that
No,
you
it's
plan
not.
on installing.
No,
Okay.
and if I'm not able to close in my front, probably will need to reconsider getting a pool as well, right?
Okay, thank you so much. With
Madam-
that being,
Madam
Oh,
Chair, one
Mr. Mayor,
one last
sure,
quick thing.
sure, sure.
I just want to say, 'cause I don't want to scare anybody out there, especially Sherwood Forest residents. We do aim to eventually put sidewalks throughout El Portal. It's my personal opinion that Sherwood Forest is a place that should not have sidewalks, due to the archaeological stuff that's in there, due to the curves and things like that, especially when you get up by the Native American burial mound. And Sherwood Forest, just the way it just feels, it shouldn't have sidewalks, in my opinion. So Sherwood Forest is one place that shouldn't have sidewalks in El Portal. Thank you, Madam Chair.
that is very true. It's uniquely beautiful.
Right.
It's an amazing site. Councilman Irvam, after you, then we'll open it up to our guests.
Okay, so just, true, but we will still have bioswales in the future in Sherwood Forest, which will include, hard packed paths and things like that for everything up to and including ADA compliance, so
Okay, now.
there will be something.
Thanks for noting that. All right, is there anyone in our audience that would like to make a comment on item G1? If so, please step up to the podium and state your name and address for the record. 1 second. I think this young lady was coming up to the podium. And then right after her, then gentleman in the orange.
Thank you.
Awesome. Can you state your name and address for the record?
Yes.
Stop.
My name's Dawn Wellman. My address is 203 Northeast 86th Street. I'm also a real estate broker and have sold a lot of real estate in the village for many, many years. I bought my house in Sherwood Forest because of its uniqueness. I could have lived anywhere. I've been in my house for almost 23 years. I've never had a problem with any of my neighbors, ever, in 23 years. We have the new neighbors that moved in. They stated they bought it, 2 years ago? Our street and our neighborhood is not in harmony anymore. He tried to defame me tonight in front of everybody here that I stalked him. That is a lie. That was fraud. He filed fraud papers with the clerk of the court. It was dismissed.
So I completely
So
empathize.
I just want to address that, and then
No.
I want to move on
to the item.
to the subject.
Thank you
But
so
I have a
much.
right to defend myself.
For sure you do, but in the
Okay.
context of this meeting, we're going to keep our comments centralized. So I think there's a big backstory, but
I would have
none of-
never brought it up
none
had
of the
he not brought it
backstories-
up first.
Yes, okay.
Okay.
So now hopefully you feel like you've said enough, so let's
Absolutely,
centralize the conversation
absolutely.
to the hedges.
So I think
and
it's
the swale.
important to have harmony in the neighborhood. I don't feel a fence erected in the front of the house is going to bring any harmony in this neighborhood. I think maybe them moving, but that's beside the point. There aren't many houses that have fences in the front, and I like that about our neighborhood. It gives character, it gives continuity, it gives inviting and welcome. I've lived in my house 23 years. I have never but once had an incident where somebody stole a bicycle. There aren't homeless people coming in my yard. I live right next door to him. I have no new.
Please don't call out from the audience. Let's not do that. Okay. Continue.
I've never had any nuisances. I've never been afraid. I've lived in my house by myself my whole entire life. Never been married, no boyfriend. Sherwood Forest is a special street and a special neighborhood, and all us neighbors have always been tight. I feel erecting a fence is just going to give off a tone and vibe that's like unapproachable. This is my world. This is my neighborhood, nobody else's. And that's not what we're about here, I hope.
Thank
'Cause
you
that- So then, as far as a 4 feet fence, I'm not sure how that's going to prevent a lot of nuisances, even if there was nuisances. As far as dogs getting loose, that's a common element throughout anywhere you go. A dog can get loose. They can run out the front door by accident. You can not put the leash on them. That just happens. That's life. Putting pools in the front yard, and when you're going to buy a house, when I sell a house to somebody, we go over everything. And a variance is not a guarantee. I know you can get hooked on hope, but it's not a guarantee. So when you buy a property, it's very important for you to be aware of exactly what you're buying. And if you outgrow the space or you outgrow the needs, there's other available properties that could afford a backyard, or you can, live on North Bay Road and they put up all these high fences and none of the neighbors talk to each other, and it's just a different vibe. And I would hate to lose our special vibe. And you can talk to many people about our community, and that's what they like about it. So I really don't want to lose that. And I think it'll also set the tone that everybody else is going to want to piggyback, and then we're going to have all these variance requests for fence, and everybody's going to have a fence in their front yard, and there goes our cute, quaint neighborhood.
Thank you so much. All of those things are noted, and we'll take that under advisement. Thank you so much.
Thank
Ms.
you for your
Wellman.
time. I appreciate it.
Anytime.
And
Gentlemen,
I'm sorry if I may, Ms.
Sure,
Because to
sure,
her
sure.
point, there were actually 3 houses that were flipped, contractors, that those 3 houses had fence in the front yard. The only 3 houses that I knew they had him, and they actually took him down. It just looks more appealing and more beautiful, and it raised up the price. Their houses they bought for, $300,000. They sold them for $1.5 million. Yeah, without a fence.
all right, thank you so much. Gentleman in the orange shirt, please step up to the mic and state your name and address for the record. Thank you for
Hi,
being
hello. My name is Eric. I live in 311 Northeast 86th Street. And I happen to be friends with the guys and with many people in this lovely neighborhood. I love our neighborhood. I love our neighbors. And I'm aware that it's not the case for everyone. I'm aware that the guys has had like personal issues, like with Don. And what I have to say is that they really care about this community. They are always here. I'm not always here because I don't enjoy getting down to the, you come here and you see like how hard it is to communicate in a healthy manner. But they are here and they are law abiders. You can say anything about them, but they do respect guidelines in the law, and they based like a lot of what they do on that. So I'm pretty sure that like I've been to the house. It's not true that nothing happens because I've seen like by being friends with the guys, I have cats, and they lost a cat because of a dog attack. That actually it didn't matter because the same dog invaded their house like maybe a couple months later, and the cats run. And I'm very terrified of losing one of my cats because of a dog attack. So they have to be leashed. I don't think it's a force of nature. There are laws for that. And well, I do like and appreciate the guys because they care about the city. And I also think that guidelines are, well, they're guidelines. The variances are there because they have to be approved, but we shouldn't have that type of control over what people do in the private space, especially in the guy's case, because their house is really built far in the back of the lot, and they don't have a lot of space. They maybe have like from this wall to over and there's a huge tree, so they don't have a lot. They don't have a lot of backspace. They don't have backspace at all, actually. So they have not only, I've seen the videos, and I'm pretty sure that they can show you. They have had people like come to look at their stuff, you know, like to see if they could find anything, and they have the situation with the dog, and they are also like close to Northeast 82nd Street, and this area is rapidly growing to become more urban, especially with the new condos being built on the other side of the river, and in this village, by the way. So I also would like to, you know, like to remember, like to mention that lots of houses in beautiful neighborhoods, quaint neighborhoods like Coconut Grove, have coral like fences. They're not too tall. They're not like you know, like they're not uninviting. They're actually very cute. You know, like it's a historical material. It could be coral, it could be limestone, you know, like it's actually pretty. You can still see the house, so it's not a big deal to have that built over there. I think it's actually good for the city. I also don't think it's a great idea to, for the city to build, corridors or sidewalks, thank you, in El Portal or in Sherwood Forest, because we have so many trees.
I do want to give you a heads up that you have 30 seconds yet, and I may not have said it, but
Okay.
everyone gets 3 minutes at the mic, and I'm timing you, so I'm just going to give you a heads up that you have 30 seconds, so I really want
Thank
you to
you.
get out. If there's something else of importance, you said amazing things so far, but if there's anything else of importance you want to state, you have 30 seconds to do so.
Thank you. I'll try to wrap it up. It's just so many things to be said. It's not a good idea because we have historical trees, oak trees, we have nature, and lots of properties on Sherwood Forest actually have lots of hedges, and not the pretty hedges. I mean, areca trees and you know, like just the most basic forms of hedges everywhere. There are lots of variances in Sherwood Forest. And I do think we should strive for like a peaceful relationship with our neighbors. And I hope that this is a chance to reset that, because I do see the good side of guys, and you can either get on the good side of people and the bad side of people. And I think we should strive to be on each other's good side. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We appreciate your comment this evening. Are there any other guests that are joining us that would like to step up? Please step up to the podium. State your name and address for the record.
Good evening, Jay Ribeiro, 225 Northeast 86th Street. First item I want to discuss is why previously variance notifications were sent by certified letter. I found out about this variance based on the agenda that the clerk sent out. I came and I asked the front desk, where was my certified letter? They said, no, it's now published in the Herald. First of all, I do not get the paper. I do not go online to get the paper. And I wouldn't know unless the agenda was generated. So that needs to be a fix. Second of all, I'm the neighbor to the east side of them. I'm the neighbor that they complain about excessive lights. My house is 3 feet tall. I see over the fence. Their hedges is growing. That's fine and dandy. I don't care. I don't want to see them. We're not friendly based on their complaints on my property that cost over $5,000, so you could pay your $900 for the variance. There's over 27 complaints here that they filed with 6 different neighbors.
So
As of
I'm going to
January.
give you the same caution that I gave Ms. Wellman. I sense that there is a lot of things that are happening, but we want to centralize our conversation to whether or not
Correct.
you have a thought about the
The
fence
fence.
going up and the hedges. And if you
Yeah.
could just centralize your conversation on that, that would be great. I stopped your time. You have about a minute and a half left.
Definitely.
Thank
The
you.
fence, I'm totally against it. I have not seen the designs. They've not spoken to me. I don't care. If it's a coral rock fence, it's going to hinder the flooding that we're having now on Sherwood Forest. The water from that property, it's going to come back to me. So that's one issue. 2, the aesthetics of Sherwood Forest does not call for that property to have a coral rock fence or wood fence or whatever. And as you know, it will be a precedent, and they will be back in here. If they get the wall today, they may come back and get the hedges later. Or definitely, they're gonna come back and say, get the pool, as he mentioned it now, okay? I am totally against it. We need to focus on the aesthetics and the beauty of this community. I've lived here 22 years. I've never had a problem with any neighbor except this two. And they could flip the finger all they want.
Thank you
Thank you.
for the comment. I appreciate that. Are there any other guests who would like to step up? Please step up to the podium and give me your name as well as your address.
Enrique, 311 Northeast 86th Street. Regarding the fencing on Sherwood Forest, I mean, I moved here because I love the way it is, but I know that the city is changing, and it's going to change very fast. And we have the commercial buildings being built over there where was the church, and we have a lot of more possible people traffic all over this area. And Sherwood Forest is special, everybody agrees. And we don't know about metro stations, maybe not metro, but the railroad they're going to build. I'm pretty sure that we're going to see here is over the years, we're going to have a way more intense population coming to visit this area too, right? So I get the idea of living in a very open space, but I think we also have to realize that this is changing. Miami is changing, and the whole area is going to change, and it's going to become more urban. I have a house that is also set in the back, and at some point, I don't need to close because we have a huge forest close in our house, and it's beautiful. But at some point, if you want to do a pool, we're also going to need to ask for a variation. And my concern here is just, are we ready to understand that the neighborhood's going to have to change and adapt it to a new reality of Miami and then a new reality to Northeast 2nd Street? Because I think it's going to happen. And even though we protect the small area that we are in Sherwood Forest, the city around will change, and the people and the amount of people visiting this area is going to change also over the future, right? So that's my only comments.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. That's a good perspective to shout out. Are there any other guests who would like to comment on this item? One second. Seeing none, I'll go ahead and ask the applicant to step back up to the podium and open the conversation back up to the council. I also think the applicant has another comment that he would like to make.
I do just
So,
have,
One
Okay.
second. Let's just sequence it. Vice Mayor?
Madam
do you have a
Chair,
statement?
yes, I do have a comment. Thank you. To address Mr. Rivero's first point, and it was about the variance being discussed today, that he wasn't aware of it. I remember asking the manager about the, actually for any variances and any planning and zoning hearing to have a sign, and I think it's in our books, right? It's in our, we can do, go ahead and post in front of the property, a notification that this property is gonna be, you know, meeting is gonna be discussed about a variance and all of that, or is it something that we can implement so anybody that passed by through the neighborhood can actually see that the property is gonna be, you know, it's gonna have a, it's gonna come before, you know, planning and zoning meeting, might interest it to the people around it to actually, to address the neighbor's point, yeah.
I hear your point, and, you know, I have seen that in other municipalities. We don't have that, but that's
Okay.
something we should look into doing. Because
Yes.
I agree, I think that would give the surrounding neighbors, because you're right, if you don't have the Herald, or if you're not checking, you know, the other publications, you wouldn't know. So I'll
That's an
definitely look
excellent-
into that.
Yes.
Thank
That's
you
an
for the
excellent point,
suggestion.
Vice Mayor.
That is
Completely
actually, so it does state courtesy because that's paid by the applicant, and no applicant wants to pay extra. That is the point of it
Okay.
all. So it does state that, like, we can have one of three, and it offers it, but every time, what happened, he's right, it used to happen. But then an applicant brought it up and said, it says courtesy, and I do not wish to pay any further than I've already paid.
And is it, I'm sorry, Madam Clerk, and is it something that we can have the signs and actually borrow that applicant, the sign, and just because it's written in erase board
It's up
or
to
whatever?
it's up to the applicant.
To actually,
For us,
Oh, okay.
what satisfies it is me advertising it. And the way that people came today, it's because it's advertised. So once I put up, there's a P&Z, and if you're interested, then that's how Mr. Pulliam is one that comes because he sees it and he receives it.
Right.
So he knows if there's something that sparks your interest, that's why you come for public comment.
Okay, now, so this is for our lawyer. Is it
Okay.
something that it could actually be included in part of the package, or is it for you, part of, not something that is not courtesy, but mandatory?
Then the language would need to be revised,
Okay.
and then we would have to budget for it, because if the applicant does not want to pay for it, the city has to actually pay for the sign.
Okay.
And it would be an individual sign. It's not an erase and paste. No, that's
Okay.
an individual sign.
Individual
It's an
sign
extra
for the
cost,
plan.
yes.
Okay, thanks.
That was a question I had as well. Like, would the city covering it be cost prohibitive? Can we look and see what the cost would be?
I don't think that it would be prohibited. We can actually go and do that, but that would have to be something that's fiscally budgeted for.
Okay. Can the
and
manager
something to
look
look at.
into that
Yeah.
and get it back to us on how much has historically, just based on last year, how many of these variances or signs would have been posted if we had taken over the cost, like what that might have been, or if there's a way that we can project that out
Mind
to see how
you,
much it might be?
If the person is not driving through, El Portal is not just, if they're not driving through Sherwood Forest, which is very unique, and a lot of people don't drive through that, they're not gonna see that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but sometimes
But
the
then
people
neighbors.
that's directly impact is the people that surrounding the property.
So for
Which
his
is
property in particular, if the sign where it would be placed at, also might not still see it, but I'm just saying, I'm just giving, but yeah, it's something definitely that you can look
No.
into, and the word
For
can
sure.
change.
I have no idea if this is a good idea, because it depends on the numbers and the feasibility. Just something to look into, because I do think that your neighbors have a unique interest in like what's happening.
We can,
around it.
absolutely
We'll
look
look
into
into
how
it, and
many
I'll work with
variances we do.
Mr. Mayor has a comment. Let me defer.
Yeah, really quickly. Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I just wanted to say, and just make clear that, this discussion that we're having right now, that what El Portal does right now, we're in legal compliance. All right? So it's not that we're not doing something that we should be doing or that we have to do. We're currently in legal compliance. Let me also say that there's a lot of things that we do that we just do for courtesy. For example, I'm on every mayor organization all throughout Florida, and there's very few municipalities that email their agenda out. They don't have to, and so we do a lot of that for courtesy. The way we have our agenda, where in the beginning we have a good and welfare. For every agenda item, we let you come up and speak, and at the end we have a good and welfare. Go to the county meetings in Miami-Dade County. They have a good and welfare, like one. And if you don't know, and so the reason why we have it like this is because when I came on as a council member, that's the first thing that I passed. That was my first initiative. And the reason why I passed it, because I said, okay, let's keep the first one. We only had a first one. I said, let's keep the first one. I said, because, somebody might come and they can talk about whatever's on the agenda. I said, but then let's allow people to speak for every agenda item, because after they hear us speak, they might say, oh, you know what? I disagree with what you're saying, Mayor. Or you know what, Mayor, have you thought about this? And it might adjust the way I'm going to vote. I said, so let's put that in. I said, and then let's have another one at the end. But there's a lot of things that we have in El Portal that is courtesy and it's not legally binding to us. This is one of the things. I think it's a good thing to change it. My question, though, is that, so are we talking about just putting up signs for just variances? Or are we talking about putting up signs for everything that's on the agenda having to do with somebody's home? Because that means that every planning and zoning, we have a lot of items that are on the agenda. So are we putting up a sign for every property that this is going to be on this agenda for this planning and zoning? Because we have a lot, so that cost we're going to have to really look in. It might be very high because we have a lot of homes on planning and zoning agendas. And does that mean that when the planning and zoning, when it gets moved to the regular council meeting, then it has to be put up again for the regular council meeting?
So let me just rephrase this. None of that needs to be answered tonight. This is just a thought, and that we can look into it and figure out either how to make it work or that it doesn't work. And whenever we kind of throw out these ideas, definitely doesn't mean that the village is doing anything wrong. It's just an effort to perfect. No matter how good you are doing something, when someone brings in an issue, you think, hey, is there a way that I could solve something from their unique perspective? So this is just like a little, hey, the needs assessment might make it obvious that it is not a good idea, but just something to flesh out as far as being as responsive and communicative as we can be as a legislative body. But with that being said, I'd like to table that part. I'll go back to Mr. Pulliam. I know you had a comment, and then we'll take it back to the council on this item, G1.
Thank you. So I just wanted to address a couple of the comments from my neighbors who you saw up here today.
Please centralize those comments
I
to
will.
the hedge.
Yes,
Thank you so
totally.
much.
The first point in terms of the aesthetic charm of the village, all that sort of subjective stuff, again, we're paying a 5 times price premium to do the Coral Rock, which has been decided, I don't know when, but historically by people in the village, residents, council, etc., that does conform with the desired aesthetic charm, all that sort of stuff, the 4 feet limit as well. So that's my first point. My second point regarding some fear of coming back requesting hedges. I already, just so everyone is aware, I articulated to our planning and zoning staff people that because of the $900 cost variance for that, that's cost prohibitive. We're not going to do that. So we will do natural plant clusterings or just a bush, something that doesn't require a variance. So I will not be coming back requesting a variance for hedges in the front, to be clear. And my third and last comment in regard to one of my neighbors who talked about flooding. First of all, my entire front yard is permeable. Also, this Coral Rock wall, like I said, is constructed on a foundation of sand. It's not cemented to the floor. It's not creating any water issues. In fact, this neighbor who's complaining about this potentiality has a huge paved driveway in the front that is not permeable and creates, if he's experiencing water issues, I would suspect that's where it's coming from.
Thank you so much for those clarifications. Now I'll bring the conversation back to the council. Does anyone have a motion on this item or additional comments?
I do have just one additional comment. So I just want to reiterate that we went through this years ago in terms of the number of fence variances specifically that were coming in front of the council. That sparked 18 months of town halls, surveys, intensive work, expensive work with urban planners, and it was definitively established that having properties fenced off as a general rule within the village would over time deteriorate the property values and lessen the quality of life in the village, point blank. Years ago, 20-something years ago, I lived in the Grove, rented a property. We were a border property. On the one side was Shantytown, on the other side was multi-million-dollar ownership, right? So go to a town hall over Crime Watch, B&Es and all this stuff, right? All the older white people in the audience wanted more police and longer jail sentences as a solution to solve the crime problem that was ravaging Coconut Grove at that time. All of the younger black folks in the audience were very clear in establishing that there had been after-school programs in years past that were gone. There were this resource and that resource that disappeared. So for me personally, as I've gone through life, outside of that experience, it seems very obvious to me that if we want to get rid of petty crime, we're going to take every dollar that we spend on an aircraft carrier and we're going to match that dollar and educate somebody in this country. Until we do that, we get our cars broken into at 3 in the morning. I will say this, the picture I'm looking at here has a front porch full of construction items. I grew up in Topeka, Kansas, so I have an advantage over everybody in terms of street smarts. I'm looking at a picture of $2,500 worth of bait sitting on a front porch. That's the issue in this picture. that somebody's on that front porch. We are not going to create a beautiful village by walling off the properties. Coconut Grove is attempting that. Coconut Grove is no longer any fun to drive through. It is disgusting, honestly. 8-foot fences, 0 lots. Coconut Grove is not pretty anymore. I hope we're not headed in that direction.
Thank you so much for that comment. Does anyone else have a motion on this item? Does someone want to move something on this item? Councilman Lightfoot Ward. Okay. All right. So you move to not accept staff's recommendation on this item and to deny.
Just see what's gonna happen.
Okay, so that's the,
I will second.
you second? Okay. Madam Clerk, can you call the roll?
Roll call. Member Lightfoot Ward.
Restate the motion.
Huh? She's gonna restate it.
Just restate.
I'm-
No, she doesn't have to. You just listen to her restate it.
So she's motioning to not to pass.
Not to accept
Not to
staff.
accept staff recommend, to deny. Member Lightfoot Ward? Okay. Member Urbom?
Yes.
Member Nickerson?
No.
Vice Chair Perella? Chair Martin?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-1.
What follow-up
The
is there?
clerk can give you some secondary steps, correct? Yes, it's been denied.
May we receive a rationale why, or
I think the
if anyone's
conversation,
willing?
the conversation that occurred previously, everything that was stated, all of those are the reasons why. So I think a transcript maybe of this conversation can give you some more clarity, but I think everything was stated, but it has been denied. So we're gonna move on to item G2, and if you have additional questions, you can step to the back and talk to the clerk about next steps. Okay? Thank you so much. Alrighty, now we're gonna move on to item G2. So G2 is now 301 Northeast 89th Street for demo and new home construction, new site plan. Can I have the applicant step up to the podium and state your name and address for the record?
Hi, my name is Joshua Rojas, and this is Nestor Rojas.
A little closer to the mic, please.
Okay. Better?
Yeah,
Oh, I can see.
yeah.
Hi, my name is Joshua Rojas, and this is Nestor Rojas.
Address, please.
301 Northeast 89th Street.
Okay, so first I'm gonna get the staff report, and then after the staff report, I'll come to you, okay?
Gotcha.
Can I have staff's report on this item?
Yes, this is an applicant from Portal Development Group. They are requesting a site plan approval for a new single-family home at the property located at 301 Northeast 89th Street. The applicant proposes to tear down or demolish the current home that's on this lot to allow for this new construction of a brand-new home, which will be 2 stories, 4,840 square feet, and the new home will have 4 bedrooms and 6 bathrooms, and a 2-car garage and a covered backyard terrace. The property is 7,761 square feet, and the single-family homes are permitted in this zoning district, and they are not requesting any variances with this site plan approval, so they meet the code. Pursuant to the procedures for site plan review, the applicant does show good cause for the compliance with the land use regulations and development standards. The applicant has stated that the plans will be submitted to the County Fire and Rescue Department for review and approval, and that they are committed to complying with the fire department review regulations, and when the full set of plans are ready to be submitted before building permit. Also to address stormwater management and to ensure ongoing retention, the applicant has a preliminary engineering plan for 8-inch pipe system with an exfiltration trench that would be located on the site. And then the final design for that stormwater system will be, again, further hashed out when they get into design drawings for their site. In granting the site plan approval as presented is in harmony with the general intent and purpose of the comprehensive plan, and as the proposed development architecture is compatible with the existing residential architecture in the village, and therefore approval is recommended for this site plan to allow for the new construction of a two-story residence, and there are 2 conditions that are enumerated in your staff report.
Thank you so much. As I've done before, I'll open this up for comments from members of the council. Does anyone have a comment? Councilman Urbaum?
Just one question. So, the only reason we're here tonight, am I on it?
I think it's the train too.
Oh, okay. So, there we go. So the only reason we're here tonight at all on this application is because they are demolishing 51% or more of the original structure and rebuilding it. Is that right?
Correct. It's a site plan.
And so, outside of that, there are 0 other issues, no setback issues, no driveway issues, no fence issues?
Nothing, no.
Okay.
They're complying with the code.
Very good. I just have one comment for the applicants. So as she talks about the flood mitigation, I will humbly ask you to take that incredibly seriously. As we approach our new reality in terms of flooding, within the village, you'll find it's like lot to lot sometimes, right? You're gonna find out it's depending on what people built in their swale, et cetera. When we have new construction, it's some of our only opportunity to move in the other direction. So I would just humbly ask you to please take that very seriously, and it will benefit you with a selling point at some point in the future whenever you do go to resale.
And I would just add that through the site plan review process, when I was reviewing this, they were very cooperative when I requested that they look at this issue from the very beginning, not wait until the end of their whole process. So they were cooperative and produced plans for us to see.
Thank you. That's good to hear. Any other questions from members of the council? Councilwoman Lightfoot Ward.
This is father-son deal right here?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the way you said it. That's his dad. Talking about we got this person, you both got
They
same
also
names.
look a lot
Yeah,
alike.
I know, I know.
Like,
I'm paying
eerily.
attention. You are asking to build a $1 million plus house on a lot that has a house that you're gonna totally tear down regardless to its historical, archival history. And you're gonna think you're in Coconut Grove, or you're trying to make us something we're not. I'm seeing a big, how you call those expensive houses? A McMansion. I'm seeing a McMansion in my head. Knowing where this house is, I'm seeing a McMansion in my head. And I'm saying, what you trying to do? Keep people from moving in here, so you're gonna go build a palace? Y'all gotta help me out, man. I've been here. I'm 31 years in this village, and it was nothing like it is today. Thank goodness for a good council, which I've been on for several times.
Yeah.
So tell me exactly why you wanna put this kind of big building. You bought the property, right?
Yes.
I guess that's why. But you gotta help me. This sounds like this is gonna be one of them, ooh, wow. This is a little tiny village. We're not trying to change the character of this village so that people can't afford being here, including me who own my property. Okay, we're not trying to do that. So why you wanna do that? Tell me why. Hadn't thought I was asked that, huh? Didn't think I would ask that question, huh?
I like the mother house now, sorry. I like the mother house, the
Identify.
second 2 floors,
Identify yourself.
Sorry, apologies. Nestor Rojas, IGC and architect. Okay. Actuality, I developer in different areas in Miami, Coconut Grove, Belmead, Golden Beach, Port Charlotte, a lot of houses, Actuality, in this particular area, I come in the construction, one big house in Belmead, 4 houses, Actuality, they increase the area for Belmead. The people move for this area and in the north. Entonces, particular, I like the, no Miami style, very standard, building to house modern, for increase the neighbor, increase the neighbor for architectural, big landscaping, good face for the houses, Entonces, actuality, the houses, no it's big houses, one house, the 4,000 AC area only, because porque I adjusted for the regulation for you see, submit the code. Exactly, no it's big mansion, it's only two flooring, for 4,000 AC area.
I'm not convinced, but thank you for your
Thank
comments.
you.
I'm not
Yeah,
convinced.
what we're trying to do here is that unfortunately we don't have the architectural a book where we can actually, tell people this is what, this is the character of the neighborhood and that's how we're gonna keep it. It's just a suggestion that we have. But seeing these big block houses are just disturbing for, the people that been here for many years and moved to the area just because we like the quaint little different houses and, not these big block houses that now there's not only one or two, now this will be like the sixth house. That is, it has the same kind of design, very modern, square, not appealing to this neighborhood. That's what, we're trying. Unfortunately, we cannot regulate that only by, based on the amount of windows you have and all, and the lot coverage. Other than that, if you meet regulations, so unfortunately and painfully, we have no other option to approve it, so, yeah.
Any other comments from members of the council? Councilman Erbaum?
Yeah, so the architectural guidebook that we're talking about, there is a place for modern architecture in there. This was a huge discussion that took place over about 18 months as well. After we had sorted out the fence issue, we did a town hall on architectural, the guidebook that you're referencing, right? And so the primary concerns are that there would not be monolithic block structures. The idea is that there would be some breakup of the lines. There certainly should be enough windows. It sounds like from what I saw, it looks like you have an idea to put light into the house and have plenty of windows that, for accomplishing that, which again makes it aesthetically pleasing from the street to see a house with windows, as opposed to just a wall. And so while I do agree with the other council person's comments here in terms of, we wouldn't want to see the neighborhood become a strictly modern architectural neighborhood, there is a place for it within there as outlined within that guideline. I just wanted to give you just a little bit of background on how we had that discussion and arrived, at those conclusions in terms of just trying to prevent it looking like a store as opposed to a home, Yeah. So.
Thank you so much, Councilman Erbaum. Are there any other comments from council members? I actually like your design, so I don't want you to feel like we all hate it. I'll open it up to the guests. Is there anyone that would like to comment on this item? Hearing none, I'll bring it back to the council. Does anyone want to make a motion on this item? Sure, Councilman Lightfoot Ward.
It's a box.
It's a beautiful box.
It's a box. It's a box house. Give me a minute.
second, one
Give me a minute. It's a box. We're a village. Our houses look like a village. It's a box. If it had been anything but just a box, it's a box. And it's not, what's that word?
Cohesive?
It's not cohesive to the presence of what we've tried very hard to maintain historically. You build a box in here, a 2-story box at that, and we're going to have boxes all over the place. And everybody's going to say, what happened to El Patel? It's the dog. They're going to curse the council. And my name going to be the first one. Why? That blankety blank Lightfoot Ward, I should have known that she would make things. No. I'm the one that says common sense. Don't change my village. There's not many look like this. Don't change the aesthetic. If you gave me a thing that looked like a home and not an office, oh, I'd be all right. But this is a box. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Oh, yes, you did have a comment. I knew there was something.
Yeah, it's just something.
The applicant would like to make a
Yeah, it's just
comment.
something very small. It's like not exactly a box. Cause like there's a recessed space in the first floor. Like it's not like meeting the setback exactly. Like there's like on the front facade there's like 4 feet recessed wall. So there's like an overhang on the second floor. It's casting a shadow. So it's not exactly a box. Like they have like ins and outs of a rectangle. So not exactly a box. Just that's my comment. That's it.
I like that. That was a good
Yeah.
comment. It's a semi-box. But I will say, that I think that there is a large amount of variance in what people find aesthetically pleasing. So I stop at the point where I say, hey, the village looks a certain way, and one house looks this way, and every other house needs to look that way. I do think that Charlotte has told us that barring this requirement for them to come into this body and get this approval, they have complied with all other requirements, correct?
Yes, that's
Yes.
correct.
And I think that is, and also I think they have been accommodating according to Charlotte as well. So I think that is I think that is all I need to know on the item, that they are doing what they are allowed to do, and they are doing what they believe is aesthetically pleasing with property that they have purchased. So with that being said, does anyone on the council have a motion for this item?
I'll move to approve.
All right, do we have a second? I can second that. A second. Madam Clerk, can I have I did open it to the public and then I closed it. Did you, but I can reopen it. I think I see a hand going up. Hold on one second. So I'm going to open it back to the public comment. Mr. Pulliam, if you can step up to the podium, restate your name and address. You just stand right there.
Oh.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes,
yeah,
sure. Thank you.
Thomas Pulliam, 205 Northeast 86th Street. What I just heard from you, Ms. Martin, was that because it complies with the ordinances and aesthetic is subjective, sounds like you're going to recommend approving this.
Mm-hmm.
That was the same case with my fence, with
So-
an ordinance and the aesthetic issue. So
Yes,
that
so
that
I-
is my comment.
I understand that you're not happy with how yours turned out, and you're more than welcome to comment on item G2, but what I'm
That
not
is my
going to do
comment.
is engage in a back and forth. The body
That's
has
fine. That
already
is my
spoken.
comment. That is
Okay.
Okay.
this is the same rationale that I heard from you in
Sure.
both cases.
Thank
That
you
is my
so much.
comment.
You can
Thank
have a seat. There is a motion on the table, I believe. Madam Clerk, could you call the roll?
Yes,
Who
roll call.
seconded that?
I seconded it.
Oh, okay.
Restate the motion so it's clear.
Okay, Councilman
It's-
Erbaum?
Officially, which item are we on here?
This
The
is,
G2. It's
I'm-
motion to approve.
Motion to approve item G2.
That's an accept, okay.
With- Yes.
Roll call. Member Lightfoot Ward.
No.
Member Erbaum.
Yes.
Member Nickerson.
No.
Vice Chair Perella. Chair Martin. Motion passes 3-2.
thank you so much. Now we'll move on to the new G3.
Thank you.
No, you're welcome. Have a good evening. We'll move on to the new G3, and that will be 256 Northeast 90th Street, a new garage outbuilding site plan. Can I have the applicant step up to the podium and state your name and address for the record? See, this new numbering has really got me going here. Is it 256 Northeast 90th?
Yes, yes, that's correct.
Yes. Is there an applicant here?
I don't see him.
Okay.
I have met him personally, but I don't see him.
So what do we
today,
do
no.
in this case, Madam Clerk? There is no applicant.
advertise. I mean, the applicant is welcome to come to speak on their behalf and introduce it, but she's already, you've done the 10 days and you've revised it and you have your recommendations and you've spoken to the applicant.
Yes,
And they known to be present.
they
if
do.
chose.
They've been told. Mhm.
Okay.
Okay, awesome. So let's proceed with 256 Northeast 90th Street. There is no applicant in attendance, so we'll move along with staff's report on this.
Yes, this is an application by Freddie Penna. He is the homeowner, and he's requesting approval for a new garage on this property that is located at 256 Northeast 90th Street. He proposes a new prefabricated detached garage to be located in the backyard. The garage is 1,600 square feet in size and does not exceed the allowed lot coverage for an outbuilding in the rear yard. And there are no variances being requested for this garage. The requirements and procedures for site plan review, pursuant to this requirements and procedures for site plan review, the applicant has shown good cause for compliance with the regulations, the land development regulations, and development standards. The granting of the site plan approval as presented is in harmony with the general intent and purpose of the comprehensive plan, and the proposed development is compatible with the existing residential architecture in the village. Therefore, approval is recommended for the site plan to allow a new detached garage to be located in the rear of the property.
Thank you so much. Like I've done before, we can open it up to the council. Does anyone have a comment on this item?
Yes, I do have a comment,
Sure, Vice
Madam
Mayor.
Chair. Yeah, this application, it actually came to us as a variance back in 2021 for the same shed and the same shed and the same reasons, right? A shed, a big, larger than the
It's a
house.
garage, it's a garage. It will
Yeah,
be
it was
for
a garage. It
cars.
was used to store their collectible cars or something like that, and it was denied. Okay, so,
I think that in this is my understanding, I wasn't, staff at that time. I believe that that may have been because it was interpreted as an accessory unit, and in the staff report and in staff's review, it's been explained to me that this is strictly a garage. It's no unit whatsoever. It's only for storage of cars. He's a large collector, and he explained to me when, during our review, that he has a number of cars that he stores in other places right now, but he really would prefer to have them in his yard. He does have a large backyard to accommodate this.
Any other comments from the council? Vice Mayor, were you done on that one?
Vice Mayor?
Vice Mayor?
oh, yes,
Were
I'm
you
sorry,
done?
yes.
Was your comment
No, I was-
complete? I didn't want to step on your comment. Was your comment complete?
Yeah, no, that was my comments, because I saw it here before us again, and I was like, I remember that being in front of us, and it was
As a
for
variance,
the
yes.
variance
Yes,
for denial, for the same purpose. And so even with a slab that is over 40 feet by 40 feet, and the new pool that they're installing, still under the lot coverage?
Yeah, yes, and the outbuilding, there's a 30% maximum of the rear yard, and they're in compliance with that.
Now, you don't see it as an accessory unit, even though it's a shed, it's a.
No, it's not, it's a garage.
It's not a four-wall thing with a roof. It's actually all metal, pre-constructed piece of, okay, that's my comment.
No, you have an impeccable memory, Vice Mayor,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
I know exactly what you're talking about, and I remember. But I don't remember as to whether or not staff's recommendation was approval the last time.
Denial.
Denial. So that's the question I have. There just seems to be
Because
a
it
lot of
exceeds
approvals,
the living
inconsistency.
footage of the main house.
Mm.
Right.
Right, there's another requirement, if you have an accessory unit, then we look at that compared to the main structure, but that doesn't apply to a garage, which is just considered an outbuilding. The only regulations we're looking at is how much of the percentage of the rear yard it covers, and they're within that because they have a very large backyard.
So I think it's important that we denied it before. So with that being said, is there anyone else on the council that has a comment on this?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lightfoot Ward.
I remember when this came up. The new garage outbuilding site plan. I hear the positivity that you've expressed. But I'm thinking about the person moves and he says, and I got this big garage that you can turn into a rental house one day. That's what I'm thinking about right now.
There won't be any plumbing or electrical, well, possibly electrical for lights, but it's not going to be plumbed or in a set up for a unit.
So is this a garage that has a door that closes?
For a person, yes. And a garage and a door for vehicles to come in and out.
And do we know how long the applicant's been in this address, 256 Northeast 90th Street?
I don't.
Probably since 2021 or 2020. 'cause
Okay,
it
so
was
just
right
just a
after
few
they bought the
years. Just a-
house.
See,
Yeah, there's now, and if you go online, you can actually see ideas in how to convert an accessory building or a shed into a rental.
That's what I'm talking about.
And how to
That's
do
what
the
I'm talking
plumbing and
about.
the electrical and all of that.
That's right. That's what I'm talking about. See, I have to depend on what you do as a professional. But look, my little brain says red flags. It just says red flags. And I can't sit on the council. People vote me because I vote my conscience. This is big enough for another house. Forget the fact that it's a garage. And I can just see it. 31 years I've seen everything in this village. I can just see it. Oh, do you know they're selling a house on 256 Northeast 90th Street, and they're also telling them they got a building in the back that they can make into another house, a rental. That's my only concern.
You know, it was a little, just something I'm gonna throw in there. When I was actually doing my deck, it was a concrete deck in my backyard, right? And I got the contractor, he did everything, and so the inspector went, saw the compacted and the framing and all of that, and he denied it. So I have to come over here, and the guy was like, why? It's just a slab of concrete. So when I came here and spoke to the inspector, building inspector, he's like, well, you know, he's right, the contractor, but you're building this right, you know, next to the house. That's why he recommends you to do the rebars every 1.5 feet, 6 inch in, half, whatever, down. So, and only because right now it's a slab. Tomorrow you'll put a roof, then walls, and then AC and lights, and then you have an extension of the house. So yes, it is. It's a little.
Thank you so much for that comment. I think I'll close it up to the council and open it up to our guests. Does anyone have a comment on item G3? Hearing none, I'll bring it back to the council. Does anyone have a motion on this item?
Move not to approve.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I will second.
All right, Madam Clerk, can I have a roll call?
Motion is to deny, correct?
Yes.
Correct?
Okay. Roll call. Member Lightfoot Ward.
Yes.
Member Urbom.
Yes.
Member Nickerson.
Yes.
Vice Chair Perella.
Yes.
Chair Martin.
It's a sweep. Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
All righty. So now we're going to move on to item G4. Now, I do have a question about this. For G4, G5, I could not see the staff report on that. Did
There you
everyone
go.
else have that?
No.
That was
No.
missing off of the attachments.
Let's go.
So-
Let's move it to the next meeting, the next public, your planning and zoning, because I didn't see it either.
I
open
didn't.
it. Yeah, I have it. I didn't open the link.
Okay. And also, there were a tremendous amount of misspellings. And I'm not a stickler for Scrivener's errors, but it was hard to get through that document. So I don't know if in the future we can do something to remedy that. There seems to be some sort of glitch where INGs would turn to like an uppercase J. I don't know if that was the only one that had that, but it was tremendously distracting in trying to consume this material. So in the future with those reports, if I'm not sure who in your office is completing them, but if they can just read through that and make sure that those type of glaring, repetitive errors are not in there, that would be
No, they're not in
tremendously
there,
helpful.
not at all, not in the Word documents.
Not in
that I-
yours?
No, no.
Yes,
not at all.
well, I would suggest that you, maybe just to
If something
double
is
check it.
converting something,
So maybe
yeah.
when the clerk is sending out that email, I don't know if you want to put yourself on the listserv, click that link and make sure that it's appearing correctly so you can fix whatever's on your end. But it was almost impossible. It
Possible.
was possible, but it was very annoying to read it like that.
Yeah, I understand. I think that definitely should be
Thank you so
looked
much.
into. Okay.
And I suppose should we take like a 2-minute break to let the clerk do these copies?
Otherwise, we can't go forward.
Well,
Yeah, we got to see it at least, right?
Well,
yeah,
can
but
we
she
skip
she
it?
can, she can, well, she
They
can
do
verbally
have a
talk through it while
visual,
she's.
this is the board.
Okay,
Here.
perfect. So it should be fast enough on
Yeah,
that.
and she can verbally talk through her staff report while she's making copies, and then we can see it.
Perfect. I just didn't know how much time she needed. But yes, so the applicant for G4, 61 Northeast 86th Street, can you step up to the podium and state your name and address for the record? Right after you state your name and address, we will receive staff report, and then we will speed read this thing. And go through. Sure, I'll pass it down. Okay. Awesome, awesome. And if you could go to the podium and state your name and address, thank you. There's two. It's two. Yes. Yes.
Give him.
Give
Give
it
it
I
to
think
him
that's cool.
first.
Is it the same thing that you've given us in this one? Okay, I think it's good. Don't trouble yourself. Just your name and address for the record.
My name is Carolina Almeida, Carolina Almeida. I represent Metrica, the architects, and this is my client.
My name is Juan Cresimone. I'm the owner of the 61 Northeast Street.
Thank you so much for being here tonight. Can I have staff's report on this item?
Yes, our applicant here tonight, Carolina Mana, is requesting site plan approval for two things, a home addition of about 855 square feet, and there is a variance request as well for the enclosure of an existing garage that they state would be used for storage in the future. This property is 61 Northeast 86th Street. The site itself is 12,875 square feet, and the addition to the home would not exceed their allowable lot coverage. The home has an existing driveway to accommodate this enclosure of the garage for parking. Pursuant to the requirements and procedures for the site plan review, the applicant has shown good cause for compliance with the land use regulations and development standards of the code, and granting of the variance and site plan approval as presented is in harmony with the general intent and purpose of the comprehensive plan, as the development is architecturally compatible with the existing residential architecture style, and as you can see from the photos, they're going to maintain this house as a one-story property. Therefore, approval is recommended for the variance for the garage enclosure and the site plan for the additional 855 square feet.
All right, thank you for that report. Does anyone on the council have a comment about this item or feel comfortable enough to comment on this item?
Yes. You want to go ahead and?
Councilman
Which side of this?
Life Award.
Which one of these were, which one was the garage? Because I can't tell.
Can I go there? Can I go there and
You can go right there.
Yes, the garage is here. It was. I mean, it's still.
So it was right, it's right here?
Exactly.
It's right, that was the garage.
There is still the garage.
Okay.
We are planning to convert it into the start.
Is this a double garage?
It's,
We need you at the mic.
Well, we
so
need you at
that-
the mic.
Yeah, so that the clerk can hear you.
I'm sorry.
No worries.
Yes, there is the garage, and it is for one car, right? Yes, for one car now.
It looks like you're gonna widen it.
No, we are keeping exactly the same measurements.
Now, I'm telling you what it looks like.
Yeah, but it's probably because of the renderings.
But, okay, all
Yeah,
right. Okay, now, I'm believing in you.
believe me.
So the garage was on the left side of the front or in the back, always?
It is a corner. It is on a corner, so there is 2 streets, and then on the 30, on the left of the front is actually the garage.
I'm in favor.
But this room is gonna be on the back.
The addition will be in the back.
The addition.
The addition
the
will
garage.
be in the back. No. Yes. Exactly. There is 2 streets, right? This here will be the
You can turn it the way you need it. No, you can turn the mic the way you need it, okay? And you can pull it out if it won't do
okay.
act right.
I can pull it out.
Yes.
I'm sorry, it's my first time here. Yeah, perfect.
Now talk to me.
Now, perfect.
To us.
Alrighty, so this will be on the 86th Street, and this is the main entrance, and this here will be the north, exactly. And this is the garage right now. We are closing the entrance of the garage and converting into a storage. And the addition is this here, which is in the back of the house.
Okay.
And we are adding a pool. Yes. They have 2 kids, small ones.
Yes, sometimes, but the idea is to elevate the floor and nivelate also.
Exactly, and we're keeping the mango trees and all the vegetation there because it's so beautiful. And actually, the architectural inspiration was to keep and to touch as little as possible because we really love, they really love the neighborhood. They are super happy there, and we agreed with it.
Thank you. Any other comments from the council? Vice Mayor? Councilman Lightfoot Ward said she couldn't hear you.
I was just saying that it's a corner lot and it's a big lot and it allows them to do, pretty much what they're intending to do over here.
Where's your sewer line on this property?
This
Where's your
The
septic
septic.
tank on this property?
The septic tank is here. On the
east
right
of the house.
side of the 86th Street, if facing the house from the 86th Street, the septic tank is here. We are not touching the septic tank.
I know, but we are.
Ah.
We're going from septic to sewer.
I know, but you will have the access there. We are not. The extension of the addition of the house, it does not interfere with it.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Any other comments from the council? So I'll close it up to the council, open it up to our guests. Does anyone want to comment on this item? All right, seeing none, I will bring it back to the council and ask you lovely folks if anyone has a motion.
I'll motion to approve.
Awesome. Do we have a second?
Second?
All right, Madam Clerk, can I have the roll?
Roll call. Member Lightfoot Ward?
Yes.
Member Erbum?
Yes.
Member Nickerson?
Yes.
Vice Chair Perella?
Yes.
Chair Martin?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank
this
you so
evening.
much.
All right, we will move on to item G5. That is 201 Northwest 86th Street. Can I have the applicant step up to the podium and state your name and address for the record?
Good evening. My name is Peter Pietrzkiewicz. Actually, my parents are the homeowners. I'm appearing on their behalf. 201 Northwest 86th Street.
Nice to have you here this evening. I'll have staff's report and then we'll have a discussion.
Thank you. The applicants, Mr. and Mrs. Petchkowitz, are requesting a variance for a new 6-foot high fence and/or a hedge combination within the side yard setback at the property located at 201 Northwest 86th Street. This request is to locate the new fence/hedge along the side property line, which it would be permitted if it were 15 feet back, but they would like it to be on the side property line. Their justification is primarily that they would like this barrier, some sort of barrier, as a buffer to screen the home from some nuisance activities that are occurring on this property. And the applicant has listed several instances in their letter of request of what has been happening near the home. And this to note that this is located very close to the middle school. I think it's about one house away from the middle school, and the homeowners have stated that they have observed some altercations occurring in this side yard area, and they are not in. They haven't decided yet to whether to do actual fence or hedge. They're still in the process of seeking quotes from contractors for this final decision, and they are also considering the hedge option for not interfering with a mature tree in this area. So they have come before you to either have a combination or to have hedges around the site on the property line. And
I'm
that
sorry,
would be
which side of the house that I didn't follow?
It's the
on the
east side.
East side.
East,
okay.
thank you.
On the east side? On the
Yes,
east?
east side. East side. The granting of this variance is seen to be in approval is in harmony with the general intent and purpose of the comprehensive plan, as the proposed development is compatible with residential character. The requirements for variances were reviewed, and the applicant has shown good cause for adding some privacy barriers around this home near the middle school, where there is a high volume of foot traffic and nuisance activity. The granting of this variance as presented is in harmony with the general intent of the zoning code, and therefore staff's recommendation is approval.
So I don't know if I'm the only one, but I don't have the supporting documents for this one either. So, and I would really like to know, like, what is the nuisance activity?
Yep.
I can ask
So
you.
there's been a bunch of stuff. Part of it has been a lot of the students after they leave school and they're making their way home, because in addition to the swale, the property is currently open to the street. There's a lot of kids hanging out there and just, garbage being left and things like that. There's police that come by, and when they particularly park their cars at the little garden at the end of the street by the bridge, it makes it a bit better, but there's a lot of that. There was an incident, I'm not sure if you guys saw this or not, but we shared a video of somebody seemingly being attacked by two of the students from the school. This was reported to police according to the video from our security camera. And then there's, in the document, there's photos of like cars driving across the property, like literally, if you have the picture of the property, like literally across the corner of the property. It's like, it's crazy. Particularly my daughter, my parents' granddaughter, she's 7 years old. That she loves that oak tree that's there. We want to keep it as part of the yard that she can play in. I can't imagine if a car drove through there or somebody was being attacked and my daughter was playing. I mean, I can't even foresee that. So that was the rationale. I love the passion here for keeping El Portal beautiful and in character, and we believe that particularly a hedge along that side will be in line with what's in the neighborhood and kind of keep it consistent with the look and feel and the vibe of the area and the village.
So I think I know your house. Are you proposing to put this hedge on the side that kind of aligns with Horace Mann? Like,
Yes, there's a beautiful oak tree there, and then the property line is just kind of to the east of that, and so we'd like to just clear the tree basically along the property line to put the hedge there.
Okay. And I'm so sorry if I'm asking you a million questions, but that document would have been helpful in us kind of orienting ourselves in this conversation. But the reason why they would need a variance, is it because of the height of the hedge that they're proposing, or?
No, the location. It needs to be further into their property, 15 feet.
Okay.
That would be allowed. But
And what is the I suppose, what is the hesitation with moving it further into your property where it's allowed?
So a couple things. One, The other side, the west side of the house has mature trees. There's really not much of a yard there to really use. So the primary yard that they have is on the east side of the house. There is this huge oak tree that my parents would like to include as part of the yard to basically be able to enjoy it.
Okay. Okay. And Charlotte, because of the location that it's in, do we foresee any issues as far as visibility when it comes to cars turning that corner? Because I actually jog past your house a lot, and that corner is actually pretty dangerous as far as being able to see what's coming and turning. Do we think that maybe that is something that should be considered, or is that not really?
No, I think that all safety issues should be considered, and that we could maybe, if we would like to propose as a condition of approval, we could, before they move forward to maybe to the city commission, the council meeting, they could provide a diagram to show that wouldn't be an issue, if that would be something that could ease your mind on that.
Okay. Does anyone else from? Oh, 1 second. The applicant. had
May I
it.
just add to that?
Oh, yeah, sure.
So just to be clear, the front setback is 25 feet?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the proposed hedge would end at the front setback, so it wouldn't be any further than the front of the house, basically. And so there'd be 25 feet between the end of the hedge and 86th Street. And there's that, I don't know the actual name, the safety triangle thing, it's posted right here. We've reviewed all that, and the hedge would end many feet before the stop bar. I don't know exactly how many, but many feet before the stop bar. And the calculation for the safety triangle thing only starts at the stop bar. So I think we did review that.
That's useful to know. And then you're planning on not doing anything with the front portion? You're just gonna have that side hedge and then?
The hedge is gonna end at the 25-foot setback, and then, well, on the front, along the east and west side of the house, we're planning to put a fence, but again, that's doesn't require variance, that's just within the regular setback or requirement.
Okay, any other questions from the council?
How you doing,
Mr.
Madam
Mayor?
Chair? Yeah, thank you very much. I just wanted to say that, and I know you have other stuff going on with the driveway and stuff like that. I know it's been a long night, you probably can't get into that tonight, but I've been to this property in the daytime, in the afternoon. Actually, I was at the property in the afternoon, then Officer Fitzgerald came by, he was at the property with me in the afternoon. And so, yeah, it's very unique in that in the afternoon during school days, his property, because it has nothing there, is inundated by students walking home, because they have to walk down that street
For the bridge.
to go to the bridge. And so, because there's nothing there, they can venture off into the property at all times. They can throw trash on the property at all times. So just not only for safety purposes, for the amount of kids that are walking down that street and walking through the property in the afternoon. Like I said, I've been there in the afternoon for this. But he really needs something there because it's just not safe at all in any shape, form, or fashion. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. Any other comments from the council? Councilman Lightfoot Ward and then Councilman Erbaum.
So, if Horseman closed down, would you tear down the whatever you're trying to put up?
I don't think so. I think it would be a nice addition to the to the neighborhood to have more greenery.
Because I'm being real. You're saying somebody drove across your yard. Let's don't talk about the children. You know, children are children. We were all there. Somebody decided to just drive across your yard and leave their tire print because it's a big lot. And where were they going? Just going through your? I know where you are. I'm on 415 Northwest 88th Terrace.
Okay.
I know where you are. And you're saying that this happens too often, or this one time you don't want to have it
This
happen again?
happened at least twice, and somebody mentioned that that particular area is dangerous traffic-wise. I totally agree. If you remember, there was a little wall.
I do.
There's a little community garden and everything, and then like somebody smashed into, like I don't know what's going on in that corner, but there's a lot of drivers driving all over the place, basically.
And so when they hit it and break it, then you're gonna say what? You want a steel wall or what? I'm
No,
just
no.
trying to figure out why you wanna is this your property?
It's my parents' property.
This is,
Yeah.
and I love it. Y'all outlive my folks, so I love it, okay? They could be my parents, thank you. But I'm just concerned. You've been in this property a long time, yes?
2 years.
Why you moved in something like this, so big?
I'm sorry?
Why you moved in here so big?
I live in Miami Shores on 93rd Street, and it was what we could
Enough.
find that's
Yeah,
close.
enough.
Yeah.
I got it. I
Yeah.
got it real quick.
Yeah.
You said that, okay. This never happened before. I've been in the village 31 years. This never happened before. So I think before we go messing up something, law enforcement needs to be on the watch. I know where you are. Like I said, I'm on 88 Terrace. I know where you are, Northwest. So that's not a remedy. What it says to me is it's simply locking in the property. Doesn't show me a remedy. These are children. But that's not a child driving that.
No,
That's
hopefully
not a child.
Yeah.
You didn't mind the children. It was this tire mark that kind of messed you up, right?
Well, it was the combination of it, and there was also this related to the, I presume, children from the school. I mean, there was a video. I don't know if you guys saw it or maybe
We
didn't see
did.
it, but there's a video from my parents' security camera of two, again, seemingly children from the school, literally chasing a man onto my parents' property, right in front of the camera, and like starting to hit him. Like it's insane. And the police were called, but you know, again, one of the things that freaks me out is I think about my 7-year-old daughter spends time at her
Mhm.
grandparents' house all the time. It's one thing reporting it to the police after it happens. It's another thing something happens, right? If you understand what I mean, right? Like I think the police are involved. They're the school police or whatever are there. Seems like every day, but still stuff happens, and I just think that we think that it's not safe.
Madam Chair, very quickly, after Councilperson Ward finishes.
Councilwoman Lightfoot Ward, are you complete with your comments?
Yeah, I'm just trying to melt in what
You're trying to
just said.
process it?
Yeah, I'm trying to process what
For
you just
sure.
said. 'Cause I'm where they are. I just look like this. I'm right where they are. I just look like this.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, safety is an issue, and that's something that we should really think about moving forward, because, you know, we have upgraded our police department, we revamped our police department. They're better than they ever have been before, but we still need more police officers. I understand they're children, but, Madam Manager, maybe about 6 months ago when Cuevas was still with us, we're at the school, the students, and let me just say this, because there's a lot of things that happen throughout the United States, and let me just show you the reserve of our officers. The students jumped our officer. Horace Mann students teamed up and jumped our officer. Yes, jumped him. He didn't pull out mace, he didn't pull out a gun, jumped him. And he was able to get them off of him eventually. Not only that, we had a resident, Horace Mann students, and I'm saying they're students, but and we were saying they're kids, but I'm trying to let you guys know, kids, what we think about aren't kids like the kids today. We had a resident, Horace Mann student, Madam Manager, hit her in the head with a brick. This is when they're walking home from school. This is when I went to his house and I'm seeing them walking through his yard. They're kids, but kids today, you all aren't kids. There's a lot of stuff that happens that we just, don't announce, that we go through on a weekly basis. You guys can come by. Councilperson Perella can tell you, I'm here at Village Hall probably 3 to 5 days out of the week. You can find me sitting up here on the dais. I'm usually in Chairperson Martin's chair. If not, I'm in Councilperson Urban's chair. And there's things that happen week in, week out. So I just wanted to kind of say that safety is an issue, and just kind of put that out there as far as a couple of examples of how things have changed in this day and age. That's all. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair.
I think I think I do have to say something, just because I do live really close to Horace Mann, and for sure some kids are not necessarily acting like kids, and there might be a lot of reasons environmentally and socially and familially that account for that. But there are a lot of kids that are kids, and I've jogged around Horace Mann numerous times. I have two small boys, a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old. My 3-year-old is turning 4 on Sunday. He would be very mad if I didn't say that, but yes, he's turning 4, and we go around the school a lot. And a lot of those kids are sweethearts, and they are kids. And because I have little boys that look just like a lot of those kids that go to Horace Mann, I definitely don't want to make it appear as though the kids at Horace Mann are by and large bad or violent or anything like that. I'm sure that those occasions for sure did happen and were scary, and there's a lot of conversation that I can engage you guys in as to why some of the kids nowadays are not necessarily acting like kids, because we're not really treating them like kids or giving them the opportunity to be kids in the truest sense of the word. Some of them are dealing with very, very, very adult issues, and they have kid brains, and they react in ways that are unpredictable and definitely not conducive to being treated as what they are, which is kids. But I live around Horace Mann as well, and I actually went to Horace Mann. And I think a lot of the kids there are kids, but I do understand that you've had a couple of incidences that are unfortunate. With that being said, I'll let Councilman Lightfoot Ward make her comment.
This is your parents' property. They've been here for,
2 years.
and there was nothing wrong when they moved in, right? You didn't see any of this, right? You didn't see anything like,
No, that started pretty much right after, I mean, not the tire tracks, but trespass. There's a related thing where, I don't know what was going on in that house before for the previous owners, but I think individuals may have been used to the fact that there was no fence of any kind around the property. And at the very beginning, there was all kinds of, I mean, I don't know who these people are, but all kinds of people coming on the property. We have lots of this on video. There was people going around the back, off the security camera, no idea what they were doing. Like, it's weird. So we added security cameras that seem to dissuade the situation from happening. But there are sort of like more serious things like those and the attack that I mentioned that continue to happen, and this is only within 2 years. So we're hoping that by putting a nice hedge on the side and putting a fence on the front, it'll help them sort of like be able to sleep at night.
I'm between a rock and a hard place, 'cause I'm getting there. I'm between a rock and a hard place on this one. I know this property. 31 years. I know this property. But why make this, because the elderly are living there now, why make this an issue right now? And I'm thinking of your parents in terms of me, because I live on a corner. You live on a corner. So I'm thinking about your parents. Well, if your parents weren't at that house years gone by, you didn't have anything. Something happened to make this start being a problem. Something happened. I'm between a rock and a hard place right now.
Again, somebody mentioned, I apologize for who it was. I do think, I don't know if it's the weird end of the street or something, but there is also a traffic issue there, which is maybe that car was out of control.
That's
I have
what I'm
no
thinking.
idea. But there is something, I don't know what the city could do to address the intersection, but there is something happening there. I mean, there was multiple times cars driving into that wall and stuff like that. So, I mean, I can't speak to why any of that happens. We're just trying to protect
The parents.
yeah, and allow them to enjoy their space as much as they can.
Are there any other comments from the council? Here, Councilmember Urban, and then Vice Mayor.
So, I mean, as you sat through the meeting tonight, you've heard us reference the fence, town halls, and all that from years previous, right? So corner lots were actually the sticking point in all of that discussion because of the uniqueness of the challenges presented by a corner lot in its specific intersections, and this one we're certainly all familiar with. I will say that my primary concern right now, beyond figuring out if we approve this variance or not, is the line of sight.
That's right.
So I know there's an existing hedge on the corner, right? So when that becomes unmanaged, I mean, it dwarfs the stop sign. Like, I mean, we're talking 8, 9 feet. So that's helps with privacy. It helps with, you know, vehicles from certain angles coming onto the property, but not from down Second Avenue there, right? More from 86th Street, correct? So do you know how far from the property line, so from Second Avenue, going to that oak tree, how many feet is it to that oak tree? Do we know?
From the property line to the oak tree?
Yeah.
3 feet, 4 feet, something like that. It's not very far. The hedge.
From the front?
the-
No, from the
Oh.
front, from 86.
Oh, whatever
No,
the
I'm
setback.
talking from, I'm talking from Second Avenue.
Oh.
Second
Yeah.
Avenue.
I'm talking from Second Avenue,
Thir-
from basically, okay, so you're taking the right-of-way, subtracting that out, and that leaves you with about 3 feet, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Where the property, so part of the reason why we would most likely, my parents would most likely do a hedge is we also want to protect the oak tree, and the property line literally runs through the roots. I mean, it's like a few feet away, but literally runs through the roots of
Yeah, I can
the
see
oak
that.
tree, and so probably safer for the tree to not to put, you know, concrete or whatever in the roots and stuff. I'm not
Oh,
sure if that
because
answers
you're
your
doing the
question.
fence and not just the hedges.
The fence would be on the front, on the
Yeah.
south side along, but that's not part of the variance, that along the
So,
setback.
I know that we've allowed some fencing on corners and other places in the village. However, those were limited to 4 feet. I don't know that we've approved any 6-foot fences on a corner lot. I know that there've been some put up, but I certainly don't know that we've approved any. Okay, that's my questions for now.
Thank you so much, Vice Mayor.
Oh, thank you, Madam Chair. No, my comment was about the side yard. I mean, and you have, it's 35 feet, as the second setback is 45. They just taking an extra 10 feet just to include the oak tree in their property, which the property line goes beyond that point, right?
No, I understand that they want to place the barrier that they choose on the property line.
On the property line, which is 35 feet from the second setback.
Where'd you get the 35
It's really
from?
small.
It's here. It says 35 feet.
That is 35 feet to the center line of the road, so
Right.
not quite 35, but we'll say maybe 30-ish? Maybe just
See,
under?
okay, so this is the same scenario of where I live, where my house is facing, let's say, like that, the back of your house is facing Northeast Second, and yours is facing 86. So the one facing on the other side, somehow, years ago, got approved a 6-foot fence on the second setback. It looks horrible.
It does.
It looks horrible, and I'm
really
right
does.
next to it.
Vice Mayor, could you repeat that? What looks horrible?
The 6-foot fence, wood fence on the second setback, because
Okay.
it was the corner house.
Okay.
But it theoretically is the only side they have to enjoy. The side house, not a front, it's a side yard. And in this case, it's not a 25 feet, it's a 35 feet a distance from the middle of the road,
From the center line of the road.
from the center line of the road, yeah.
Ca-
Okay.
Can I just also add, so we're not gonna do a wooden fence for sure. The north of the property, adjacent to the next house, already has a fuchsia hedge, so this is kind of like a continuation of it. Aesthetics, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, I guess, but I don't think it would look bad. I think that's why we're trying to do a clusia hedge to protect the tree, but also I think it'll be in line with the greenery of the area.
With 6 feet?
We would like to do 6 feet. If you guys say only 4 feet, we'll only do 4 feet, but,
That's what we're talking about.
okay, I mean, that's up to you guys, but we would ask for 6 feet if we can.
All right, any other comments from the council? Hearing none, I will open it up to our guests. Does anyone in the audience have additional comments about this item? Step up to the podium, Mr. Podium, and state your name and address for the record.
Hi, Thomas Pulliam, 205 Northeast 86th Street. So I'm going to be one who is always going to advocate and support property owners doing things on their property that is not infringing on other people. That said, since it, a lot of the same rationale in terms of danger, of nuisance, as well as, having foresight beforehand, the dimensions of your property, and if you're next to a school or to dangerous people or whatnot, all of that seems to ring true in this case. It's my opinion, since the council appears to have the perspective that hedges and fences are eyesores and not in character and limiting visibility, all that sort of stuff. I totally understand about having a monotonous hedge, Colusia, Areca, otherwise. As we know, we have a bunch of those that have been done without variance illegally that are 6 feet tall up around the village. That said, I understand why, from a aesthetic reason, which hasn't been articulated today, we can do natural clusterings of plants. You can do a natural clustering of trees that are higher than 6 feet tall. That's allowed without variance. So if it feels to me, if the council really doesn't want to, see more of these monotonous hedges, which also are not controlled by the village, because the only way it gets cut down is if a resident by their own volition reports it to code enforcement, and then a process begins. There's no proactive measuring of the hedges if everything is in compliance or not. It seems to me that this should not go forward, and that the council really should emphasize the natural clustering of trees, other solutions, and provide that information to the residents as part of what the vision, aesthetic vision, actually is for this location. That's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the comment. Is anyone else, 1 second, I'll open it up in a second. Does anyone else have a comment? All right, let me close it up to our guest and bring it back to the council, but before that, I'll have the applicant state his comment.
With all due respect to Mr. Pullman, is it? Pulliam, sorry. I appreciate the frustration you have with your own case and the decision that was reached by the council in respect of your own issue. This is different. In your case, the wall that you're proposing was at the front of the property. This is at the side of the property. There's also a huge oak tree. It's in the pictures. It's not really reflected on the survey because it just shows like a little circle. It's all shaded. It's not conducive to growing anything very tall there because there is the canopy of the oak tree that's there. So I appreciate that. And I think we have explored both with the Corradino folks and with our landscaper and with my dad's a green thumb and all this. It seems like the appropriate solution in our case, because it is on the side, is to have a hedge that would protect the tree, be reasonably easy to grow and maintain, and fit within the spirit and overall look of the neighborhood.
Thank you for the comment. I'll bring it back to the council. Does anyone have an additional comment or would like to make a motion on this item?
I have just 2 questions. Okay, so without variance, a 6-foot fence would be able to be constructed on the west side of the property, extending from the garage to the property line, and then back into the backyard, all along the back until we arrive at the second frontage. Is that right?
Right, and that it could go around the side, but it would have to be 15 feet in from the property line.
15 feet in from the property line would not
So
be able
they're
to,
not on the property line and 15 feet in towards the house.
once we arrive at the secondary frontage. Okay. All right.
And asking
And then my only comment for the council is, again, line of sight specifically on this property needs to be considered seriously.
Why?
Because of the intersection. So because vehicles are traveling from 3 different directions, it becomes and then we know this street. We know both these streets. I mean, that is exactly where I would expect to see a collision occur if the line of sight was interrupted.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Why?
Pedestrians as well, joggers, all of the above. Councilwoman Lightfoot Ward, do you have a comment?
I don't like the 6 feet. Can you adjust that? 6 feet is, you going off the radar right now.
Okay.
6 feet, you're going off the radar. And as time grows on, hedges don't just grow up, they grow out. Nobody said anything about a fence, they said about so you know where I'm going with that. If you can modify what you're trying to do in terms of protection of our parents, then I can understand what you want to do, but 6 feet high hedges and a fence?
So the fence would be on the front, on the south side, which I think 6 feet is the allowed.
No.
Yeah, there would be a gate as well, but I think 6 feet is allowed that's the regular height of fences, right?
No.
It's not allowed?
You talking about a 6 foot,
So-
you know, I'm 5'5" and a half. You talking about a 6 foot?
But the issue is that it's a corner lot, so where normally on the east
East
side,
side.
where you would start your 6-foot fence on the edge of the house, the problem is it's a secondary frontage.
that's right.
That's the issue. So as you move, so let's start at your garage and move,
Yep.
and move west, okay?
Yep.
6 feet to the neighbors, to the property line.
Correct.
No issue.
Yep.
Now moving north to that property line, no issue. Now moving east,
Yep.
okay, along the back of the house. Now we hit that edge of the house on the east side. This is where we're saying that without a variance, that fence has to cut in towards the house, make it 15 feet off the setback.
Correct.
Drop down to 4 feet, then continue respecting the setback off of Second Avenue, right?
Yep.
And then you could move around, or what you're saying is it's level with the plane of the tree. You're moving towards the front of the house again, under no variance, we're at 4 feet still, and then you move back in towards the house at that point. So there's your yard, 6 feet most of the way around, and then you got this cut
Correct.
in 4 feet, and then wrapped around the tree, and then, so it goes like that. So without a variance, that's your understanding as well as far as what would be available, is that correct?
Yeah, and just to be clear, what you said on the part that we're asking for the variance, it would have to be 15 feet away from the property line.
Once
Yeah.
once you become
Correct.
flush with the edge of that house, then that's when the fence needs to cut in towards the house. I'm talking about the east side. I'm talking
Yep.
about the east face.
Yep.
So you have your 6-foot fence, no problem, moving along the back there.
Yep.
And then as soon as you become flush with the edge of the house and there's no more house, that's the point where the fence, without a variance, would have to cut 15 feet towards the house and then drop down to 4 feet as it moves towards Second Avenue.
On the north side?
So on the north side, so that 6-foot fence along the back would not be able to extend all the way to the setback up on the front.
yeah.
As soon as you become flush with that house, 2 things have to happen. The fence has to drop to 4 feet, and a setback of 15 feet is now in effect.
Yeah, so with the back, what you're describing.
From both sides.
So what you're
Yeah.
describing along almost all of the entire back, because the neighbors to the north have a metal fence on the west side, but not all the way to Second Avenue?
I got you, yeah.
There's already a Clusia hedge, I don't know.
I've seen the, yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
correct.
Okay. And that is obviously not ideal, but is it untenable?
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question.
Putting the fence without any type of variance under the existing guidelines
Oh.
to accomplish the same goal.
So the
Yeah.
2 reasons, I'm not sure which one is more important one over the other, but one is what we've observed is the kids coming, I don't mean to blame all the kids from the school, but kids coming from the school seem like they have a hangout area because there's so much lawn. I mean, right now it's way open, but because there's so much lawn. If we have, if we put the fence on the west side of the, if we put the hedge on the west side of the oak tree, it's going to still create a huge area for kids to hang out on the other side of that fence, particularly if then, under the current rule, it's only allowed to be 4 feet high. I mean, 4 feet is not very high. You know, again, yeah.
It's not a hard barrier. They could easily
Exactly.
traverse
And
that.
again, my daughter playing there, you know, all kinds of things. So that's one reason why we want to put it on the other side of the tree. The other reason is my parents would like to include the tree as part of the. If we put the Clusia hedge on the west side of the tree, they effectively lost the tree.
Thank you. Do we have a motion on this item?
A motion to approve, Madam Chair.
Do we have a second? I think that means the motion failed. Do we have another motion on the item?
Motion to approve a 4 feet hedge on the east side of the property.
Do we have a second?
What's the rest of it? That's just a portion of it. What's the rest of it? I don't want him to be confused.
So are you excluding a fence on the east side of the property?
The frontage of the property, it will also have to be a 4 feet, not to interrupt the view of the corner, right? Is that what you were mentioning, Mr. Orban?
Yes, yes. I mean, no matter what goes there, a primary concern is line of sight. Yes.
I did mention, if you recall, that we may be able to condition that they produce an exhibit. He verbally explained that he believes that it does comply with the line of sight requirements, but if you'd like to see an exhibit just to verify and prove that it's in compliance.
So we can postpone this.
Or you could make that a condition before they move to council.
Or you could postpone.
Or you
if
could
that's what you want to move to postpone this issue. So somebody needs to make the motion.
She moved it, I'll second it.
All right.
There was a motion on the table. It needs to be either denied or approved, right?
The motion,
The original motion failed.
Okay, hold
Failed,
on.
Right.
Hold on.
There was a
Pirella made a
second.
motion. Was there a second?
there wasn't a second.
Okay,
There
so
was no second.
now
It
you
died.
go back. Now you're motioning to, go ahead, state your motion for the
Table
record.
this item.
Something about 4 feet.
You want to table the item until the next planning and zoning?
That's a good thing.
That's the motion.
We can table the item because obviously we got.
So you want a motion to table the item
Yes, until,
until,
The next planning and zoning committee
with the
meeting?
conditions.
with conditions. In other words, you see where we're going, right?
Yeah, so you'd like to see the diagram indicating the safety
Line of sight.
the line of sight.
Because your 6 feet is on one end, but that front side and the side is what's giving me the question mark. That's more what's going on right now.
And then I know we need to have a roll call, but I also want to make sure that when you produce this exhibit, Charlotte, you guys are going to review it to make sure that this stuff is accurate. like
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes.
I just want to make sure that we're not relying on ourselves for
Yeah,
the triangle.
it's a pretty typical type of review that we do for planning, so yes,
Perfect,
no
perfect,
problem.
perfect.
So you
Uh,
don't-
So, go ahead, but I do need to have the roll call, but go ahead.
Okay. You see where we're going. 6 feet ain't working for us all over the place. That's
Okay,
not
yep.
working. See where we are?
Yep.
Hedges, for safety purposes. You see where we are? So we didn't do anything yet. We're just saying reconsider what you're doing.
Yep.
Because right now, you're gonna gel them in, literally. 6 feet in the front? Doesn't work it out for you.
All right, Madam Clerk, can I have the roll call?
Roll call.
What is the
Member
motion?
Lightfoot
To
Ward.
postpone, to table this to the next planning and zoning committee.
Correct.
meeting.
It's
Okay.
gonna be tabled to the next P and Z. That's the motion. Member, to come back with the conditions, no. Member Lightfoot Ward,
Yes.
Member Urbom,
Yes.
Member Nickerson,
No.
Vice Chair Perella,
Yes.
Chair Martin,
Yes.
4-1, motion passes.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to item G6. That's 149 Northeast 87th Street. Can I have the applicant step up to the podium and state your name and address for the record? Can I have the applicant for 149 Northeast 87th Street? Hearing none, I'll assume that we don't have the applicant. Charlotte, do you have the staff report on this?
Yes.
Okay.
What do you got?
Yes, this is an application by Adriana Araguren, who is the owner of the property, requesting an after-the-fact variance for a fence located in the front yard setback, located at the property line, located at 149 Northeast 87th Street. The request is to remedy a code violation for this existing fence that is on the front property line across the front of the property. The statement given by the applicant for their justification is primarily that this barrier is needed to protect the home from some criminal activity that has been occurring at the property, and the applicant has listed several incidents in their letter of request. The code does not allow fences on the property in the front yard unless made of certain approved materials that we've talked about earlier today, and limited to 4 feet. This fence is much higher than that and does not comply with the materials that would be permitted via variance. The granting of this variance approval is in harmony with the general intent and purpose of the comprehensive plan, as the proposed development is compatible with existing residential character, and the requirements of the variance were reviewed, and the applicant had shown cause for the request for this barrier due to the recent history of criminal activity, as noted in their request, and therefore our staff is recommending approval.
Thank you.
Oh.
Does anyone have a comment about this?
No,
Vice
the only
Mayor?
comment I have is actually making a motion to remove the fence and denial.
Do you have a second?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Oh,
but they
before
didn't
we
do it
do,
right.
I didn't open it to
just
our
open it.
guests. Does anyone have a comment about item G6 at 149 Northeast 87th Street? Seeing none, I'll close it to our guest. I'll bring it back to the council. Vice Mayor made a motion. Does anyone second that motion?
Not yet.
I do
Oh,
second
okay.
it.
Not
There
yet.
is, so there's a second, but there's also a comment. I'll let you have your comment, Councilman Lightfoot.
Everything was done without.
Permits,
Everything was
yes,
out without
correct.
proper process.
And on Sunday.
Correct.
And on Sunday. So with that in mind, I move to,
We have a motion and a second, so roll call?
what was the motion?
To
The motion was
deny
to
and
de-
remove
All right,
the
I'll
fence.
walk with that.
Oh, okay. Madam Clerk, can I have a roll call on this item, please?
Sure. Roll call. Member Lightfoot Ward,
Yes.
Member Urbom,
Yes.
Member Nickerson,
Yes.
Vice Chair Perella,
Yes.
Chair Martin.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you so much. We are now on to subsection H, which is good and welfare. This is an opportunity for anyone who would like to do so to step up to the podium. You have 3 minutes to speak about what has happened in this meeting, anything that has been on the agenda. I see that there is one guest that would like to step up. Could you please give me your name and your address? Thank you so much.
Yes, Scott Kobrick, 8525 Northeast 4th Avenue Road. I don't know the proper situation here because I had spent a lot of time planning to come here and with several neighbors who actually were here earlier, but the item that I guess last minute got took off the agenda. So it was a very important thing for many of us, being the launch. And I'm not, first, I guess, question is when Might that be able to be, I think I heard it might be May or June, unfortunately. If it is ending up in June, I have plans to be away then, so I just wanted to try to make an important comment about it now. I have, so the first thing is that I was given this by my neighbor, Hugh Gladwin, who essentially is within 250 feet of this new proposed development. And as a result of that, we, of course, we saw the plans that were supposed to be addressed at this meeting, and they are proposing an 8-story building that's actually seemingly bigger than 8 stories. And the actual architectural top of the building is quite higher than that. And I think the clearest point, other than several other elements that, I think if this were on the agenda would have been discussed tonight or happened. But the biggest one is regarding that the 250 feet that it is within of a residential property would mean that the building would only allowed to be 4 stories high. And the code is pretty clear with that. And there is this public benefits program that was apparently used as a way of Cavista getting beyond that requirement. And I think there was some sort of civic or green space that was promised as a result of that. I'm not sure what ended up happening with that. But in this circumstance, because this other proposed building would be within the 250 feet, this public benefits program is not supposed to be something that is allowed. It's still supposed to not exceed 4 stories. And of course, there's a lot of reasons why that is, because we're in, there was another neighbor here earlier and a few other neighbors as well. We're in Sherwood Forest, which of course, as has been discussed tonight, is a very, historic, pristine, single-family residential neighborhood. And the reason why I think a lot of this stuff is in the code is to protect that. And so I wanted to just address that, and there's several other elements, including looking at the plans, and this is more from me than from my neighbor, but just regarding the open space, the environmental aspects that are actually written in the code of environmentally sensitive areas, specifically on the banks of the Little River. And specifically with respect to the open space requirements and permeable surfaces, et cetera, from the plans that I saw, it appears that there's not really any permeable surface. It's pretty much, all, concrete. And there is some wood decking, but there's supposed to be, according to the code, the natural riverbank there. And there is also things said about, pedestrians, on the Little River, pedestrian access and not blocking the view of the river. There's like a lot of different elements that this plan, seems to sort of try to get around, and wanted to have the opportunity to address that, as I understand this has been a long meeting, and just because I won't be present probably at the next one, unfortunately, I wanted to try to just use this.
Thank you, for sure. And I let you run well over the 3 minutes just to get those thoughts out, because you won't be here for the next meeting. I think the mayor had something that he would like to say about some of those
Just real
items.
quick, because I know it's been a long meeting.
No, go ahead.
For everything you brought up, I have an answer to it and a rebuttal. I think I might save a lot of those, or save mostly all of those, for when this item comes up, so that everybody can hear this, so that everybody can hear the facts. Let me just say first, what everybody needs to first look up is Live Local Act. Ron DeSantis put that in place, the Live Local Act. That is zone business corridor. Anything on the Live Local Act, they don't even have to listen to anything we say about density with Ron DeSantis' new law on the Live Local Act. So anything that's within the business corridor, that's zone business, which that street is zone business, 83rd Street. Anything that's the business corridor, industrial, yes. Anything that's business corridor, anything zoned that's not residential, if they wanted to, through Ron DeSantis' Live Local Act, they could go up to 15, 24 floors if they wanted to, because they're in that zone. Absolutely, 100%, because they're part of the rapid transit zone. So we're doing a great job by keeping them where they're at. Secondly, and I'm gonna stop, Madam Chair, because I'm gonna get too deep into it. Secondly, it's shorter than Cavista, which is eight stories. So the Cavista is 8 stories. This is going to be shorter than 8 stories, so it's not more than 8 stories. It's actually shorter in length, in height. It's shorter than 8 stories. There's so much more you mentioned. We'll just keep it there, because I know I want to address all the residents who have these same concerns, so I don't have to repeat everything. But for everything you said, there's a response to that. Public benefits program. There's a response to that. There's so much to it.
Yeah. Okay. I will certainly look into the Live Local Act. That's definitely.
Oh, no, there was
okay.
So,
I definitely will look into that, obviously, and try to understand that if that's the case, that's really a shame and pretty terrible.
Governor
for
DeSantis.
everybody
Everybody's having. As a matter of fact,
in
it's
Florida,
so.
but
As a matter of fact, it's so bad that Doral, because Doral is pretty much all, like a large part of it is business and industrial. Doral put a moratorium on new businesses and new developments, period. So they didn't have to adhere by the Live Local Act.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
So just on that note, though, like what you're saying is essentially none of our ordinances matter.
No, because Governor DeSantis made it so that the Live Local Act, it's like, we're the state of Florida. Who are you guys? And so, yeah.
Okay.
And a lot of people are going through it. As a matter of fact, it was part of the Live Local Act. I don't know if you guys saw this, but a few months ago, there was a whole big thing on the news about on South Beach, the Clevelander. Did you guys hear about that? And there was an argument about the Clevelander actually probably like they were trying to fight because they wanted to build so hot. That's the Live Local Act. And that's because of where Clevelander is in the business corridor, business district, they basically can't do anything about it. And so if developers wanted to come in and just put all type of height on it, they can, because the great people in Tallahassee made it that way.
Sure.
So.
Okay.
But yeah, but I appreciate you bringing up all these points. But yeah, I hope you can come back. I hope we do have it when you're here, so that I can address everybody, because I know a lot of times, there'll be, rumors and all type of stuff, and I don't want that to happen.
Sure.
So I have, for everything you mentioned, I was like, oh, I know the answer to that. I know the answer to that. I know the answer to that. Yeah, for sure.
All right,
Thank you,
great.
Madam Chair.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
We appreciate you. Mr. Pulliam, I know you had a comment. Step up to the podium and state your name and address for the record.
Thank you. Thomas Pulliam, 205 Northeast 86th Street. First, I have a question. I was told by you, Anders Urbaum, at the last meeting that there would be a code enforcement meeting directly after this. Is that still taking place tonight?
No, it's not taking place tonight. That was the original plan, but Councilperson Martin called me out a few months ago. She was correct. I do need just a little more time to work on the noise ordinance, so it most likely will be in June with the next planning and zoning meeting.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. My next comments is actually follow-up on the last planning and zoning meeting about 2 or 3 months ago now. I addressed these comments. Councilperson Martin, you told me you would work with me in the interim. You told me to send you an email, which I did more than 2 weeks ago. We have not discussed that. You reached out to me saying that we would have a conference call 2 weeks before this meeting. You told me last week at the workshop, planning and zoning workshop I attended, that you had been busy personally, and that I guess that was not going to take place any longer. So I'm using this forum to bring up those comments, because they are not just for Councilperson Martin. I'm glad to see the entire council here. I believe at the last meeting 2 months ago, there was some absentee as well. So I'd like to just go into, one of the comments has since been resolved, since it has been months and months ongoing, and I've been working with the administration and staff to resolve some of it. 3 are still outstanding issues that has been occurring for up to a year in some cases. My first comment question has to do with the neighboring property directly next to me at 203 Northeast 86th Street. They have in their first front setback, in their swale on the property line, 20 feet areca palms, which block the visibility of my driveway. We have codes that specifically say for line of sight reasons, it can be most 4 feet. I reported this to code enforcement back in September 28, 2023. I was told by Fitzsimmons that the forest is legally non-conforming trees, so the village can't require the property owner to conform to the new code for removal or have it cut because it harms the health of the trees. He did not mention at all regarding the driveway line of sight issue, which is my specific issue regarding this, because the 20-foot areca palms are right there. I can't see when I'm backing out who might be crossing. There's no sidewalk there either. And again, my property is extremely deep set back. So that is my first issue. I would like to understand what, next steps for resolution there might be with this.
Thank you for your comment. And I do want to say something. So a lot of times you guys come in here and you see us on this dais. And I want to assure you that everyone up here is human, right? And as humans, sometimes really, really horrible things happen to us that make us divert our attention to other things. And to that vein, I would like to appeal to everyone in this audience to look at us as human beings. So sometimes when we intend to do something very horrible could have happened to us, and we couldn't do those things, yet we still find time to come back and think about your issues. And I know that you're not happy about what occurred today, but I want to assure you that it's not anything personal. And I see you as a human and that you're frustrated, and I give you grace, and I will still look into your issues diligently. But something did happen in my family that took my attention and, quite frankly, prevented me from being able to physically be here, although I do take my service very seriously. So I will say that, and I will get back to you within a time that is reasonable and that my personal life allows me to. The other members of the council are also more than welcome to take up some of your issues as well, but for me, my family will always come first, and I'll make sure that I handle that before anything else. So in that vein, I will get back to you when I can, and in your additional question, I will get back to you when I can as well. So that's my response. I don't know if anyone else has a comment, but as for me, I'm ready to adjourn the meeting. So I will get back to you.
I do have 2 other additional comments as well.
You also have a 3-minute time limit. I'll be gracious to you and I will allow you to say those 2 comments, but please try to limit it to the 3 minutes since I am being so accommodating.
Yeah, may I ask a follow-up with that too? So is that specific issue planning and zoning like this meeting, or is that a code enforcement issue meeting?
I think it's more code enforcement. Yeah, but for the.
So should I be working with Councilperson Urbam, who's the chair of that, rather than planning and zoning?
Potentially, yes, potentially, yeah. For the issue at the line, I'm looking at it right now. The line of
But
sight.
you have
coming
our
out of Zebra.
emails. You can always email us this, and we can
I
come back
did
to
per
you.
your request, and
Yeah.
you didn't tell me you had a family emergency to speak with
But I
someone
don't
else or
have
nothing.
to. I'm sorry. I didn't even have to
No,
tell
I
you
know,
that
but
much.
it's news for me today.
Well, that's okay, but I don't have to tell you what it is. I didn't even have to tell you that much. The only thing I can say is that I think I've always been up here and treated people with respect, and I've given everybody the benefit of the doubt and realized that sometimes really horrible things happen to people and they're not able to show up like they plan to. So
Yeah, I would
all
just
I'm
like to address
asking-
this as a safety issue, again, line of sight with my driveway, so I would
This-
just like
this is-
to
this is
be able to
fine.
work with the council
is-
to resolve it.
This is absolutely fine. You can send us an email. You can send the manager an email. I've seen the emails that you sent to the manager, to Fitz, to all of us. Please email us away. And then I'm going to turn back to your issue and figure out some of those items that we initially spoke about
When may I look forward to that happening?
as soon as I can. I'm not going to put a date on it because I can't, but as soon as I can. Hopefully, it's in a time that's agreeable to you.
Okay, well, it has been an ongoing issue since September 28, 2023, and I've already worked with the village. That's why I brought it up 2 months ago. I'm bringing it up again. If anyone else from the council is able to work on this, I would greatly appreciate it. I will reach out to you as well, since you are the head of the code enforcement, with the same email that I sent Ms. Martin 3 months ago.
Thank you so much.
My two other comments, this was all part of the same
Can we put it into
conversation
the
from
3
months
minutes?
ago. Yeah,
Can we- let's
what
just
is
go
the
to
time
the-
check? How long do I have?
You have 3 minutes from now to give
Okay.
me your 2 additional, because I think we
Okay.
all, yes, I think we all want to go home. So we have 3 more minutes, and you can give me your 2 additional, and this
Thank
is
you.
a concession for
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
I will start the timer, and let's go.
So the second point is we have a county code ordinance that's been around for decades regarding nuisance lights. That has been defined as, something that is trespassing onto your property, into your windows, onto the facade of your property, etc. I have an ongoing issue with this with my neighbor on the other side of the property. Several of the lights have already been have come into compliance based on our current codes, but our county code regarding the nuisance lighting, if an adjacent property declares, hey, it's a nuisance because it's shining into my windows all night long, even with curtains, etc., then that qualifies for code enforcement. To date, that has not been enforced. So that's the second point that I'm looking into. And that same property at 225 Northeast 86th Street has another, they have multiple lights that are, they got permitted for them, but not with the ordinance in consideration with the nuisance lights, if it's shining in other people's houses, the foot candles, that sort of stuff. So there are several lights on this building that are continuously shining onto and into my property, including my windows, all night long. And that is something has been reported to code enforcement since August 23rd, 2023 as well. And I've been working with the staff village here. They have gotten the foot candle part of the ordinance in compliance, but not this nuisance light if it's bothering an adjacent property, which is my case. That is all. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your comment. Is there anyone else for public comments at this time? All right, hearing none, I will go ahead and move us to subsection I. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Second.
Second, Madam Chair.
Oh, I thought y'all wanted to stay here. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. All right, I show the Planning and Zoning Committee meeting for April 17th, 2024, adjourned at 9:48 p.m. Good night, everyone, and have a good one.